Chapter 514. After a sleepless night, Ding Liu returned from the auction house with more than 200 masters who were at least in the enlightening stage. Along with this group of people, there was also a pile of modern equipment, which made Guo Pai and the others widen their eyes. Brother Luoyu, it seems that you have a professional mining team here. Guo Pai looked at the group of people who professionally connected the equipment. More than 50 masters in the enlightening stage stirred the seawater to drive the generator. At 11 o'clock in the evening, Guo Pai and the others returned to the auction house and sent the mine spirit stones to the auction house's warehouse through a large conveyor belt. Three brothers, do you want to continue watching here or go back to rest? I can't take it anymore. There's an auction tomorrow. If you want to stay here, then stay here. I have to go back to rest. Ding Luoyu said with a smile. Guo Pai and the others didn't want to stay in the warehouse. The spirit stones were sorted out by professionals, so they all went back to rest. Bad Daddy, you went out to play and didn't take Meng Meng with you. When we go back, I won't let you hug little mommy to sleep. The little girl said without thinking. Guo Pai was not angry. He looked at Meng Meng, who was still awake at 11 o'clock, and hugged her in his arms. After playing with the little girl for a while, the little girl fell asleep in his arms. Boss, you're in a good mood today. Did you get a lot out of the sea this time? Guo Tangyuan asked with a smile. Our luck is good. We found a spirit stone mine. We have already started mining together with Ding Luoyu. Guo Pai said with a smile. Guo Tangyuan's eyes widened. He knew about spirit stones before. He had stayed in the East China Sea for nearly 1,000 years. He didn't know how many times he went to the bottom of the sea to search for treasures, but he had only found 2 spirit stone mines. His senior brother found a spirit stone mine the first time he went to the sea. His luck was too good. Boss, if you found a spirit stone mine, you can just mine it yourself. Why do you need to cooperate with Ding Luoyu? Guo Tangyuan couldn't help but ask. Guo Tangyuan was very clear about the use of spirit stones. Things are different now. With our current level of strength, safety is our #1 priority. The auction is starting tomorrow. When the time comes, let's go together. If there are any good items, keep an eye out, Guo Pai said with a chuckle. Guo Tangyuan smiled and nodded his head. However, when he thought about it, this cheap senior brother's eyesight was not inferior to his own. What eyes did he have? Still, he could join in the fun at the auction. After all, his boss had obtained a spirit stone mine. He could be considered a landlord now. In the second half of the night, Guo Pai didn't stay idle. After setting up a magic array in the room, he took out the pearl mussels from the gourd one by one. In one night, he got nearly 10,000 pearls, which were much better than those in the jewelry stores in the capital in terms of quality and size. Then, Guo Pai selected 36 small pearls and strung them together to form a necklace. Then he set up 36 extremely small formations within the 36 pearls. He was busy all the way until 6 o'clock in the morning before he finished stringing the first necklace. Coincidentally, little Meng Meng woke up. Guo Pai directly put the necklace on little Meng Meng's neck. Hee. Thank you, Bad Dad. This necklace is really comfortable to wear. Dad, you want to get the pearl mussels yesterday, right? Next time, take me with you, okay? Little Meng Meng said coquettishly. Guo Pai nodded his head. The little girl was already in the fasting period. It was no problem to take her to the bottom of the sea. Guo Pai had just accompanied little Meng Meng to play for a while when a young man from the auction knocked on the door outside. Mr. Guo Pai, our young master asked me to tell you that he has no time to accompany you for breakfast today. Breakfast is ready. You can go to the restaurant to eat. The young man said softly, Today, the young master is busy. If there is anything, you can tell me directly. Okay, we will go to eat after tidying up. You can go back first. Guo Pai said with a smile. He directly called Guo Tangyuan, Dezhu, Kong Fei, and the others who were meditating. The group of people walked toward the restaurant. Su Sai, you said a few days ago that you caught 6 transfiguration stage spirit beasts and sold them to the auction house. Is that true? If you really sold them to the auction house, I will buy one of them. The loyalty of spirit beasts is much stronger than that of humans. When Guo Pai and the others were about to reach the restaurant, they heard a rough voice ring in their ears. Guo Pai looked at the few people who spoke. Just as Guo Pai looked at the crowd, a young man in the crowd looked at Guo Pai. His eyes immediately fell on the 6 big men behind Guopai. If it was not the spirit beasts he caught, who else could it be? Bad Dad. It was that bad guy who caught Uncle Hu and the others. Futaba was also taken away by him. Little Meng Meng looked at Su Sai and unconsciously took a step back. She whispered to Guopai, "Girl, come, Dad will hold you. Remember, if anyone bullies you, you have to fight back. It doesn't matter if you can't beat them now. You are still young. Take your time." Guopai narrowed his eyes and said. He directly picked up Little Meng Meng. The last shadow in Little Meng Meng's heart completely disappeared. Haha, interesting, interesting. I didn't expect Ding Liu to be able to find the owners of these big men. I don't know how much money he received. I will ask little Ding Liu when I meet him later. Su Sai said loudly, not caring that Guopai's eyes fell on her. Knowing that these spirit beasts have owners, they still dare to be so presumptuous. The people of Fuzhong really need to be disciplined. Guopai also said loudly. The group of people was shocked by Guopai's words. They dared to openly challenge Fuzhong and Donghai. Did they want to die? Boy, you don't seem to be from Donghai. I will remember you. I hope you can still say such words after the auction is over. Su Sai stepped forward and walked to Guopai's side, narrowed her eyes, and said, After the auction is over, I will go to Fuzhong to have some fun. I will find you at that time. Su Sai, right? Sometimes you have to pay the price for doing something wrong. Guopai looked at Su Sai and said. Su Sai looked at Guopai. He put Little Meng Meng down, and Guopai carried Little Meng Meng on his back. The two powerful divine senses intertwined. After about 10 breaths, Guopai stepped forward, and Su Sai gently stepped back. They watched Guopai and the others walk into the restaurant. Boy, I will remember this time. You will regret it. Su Sai looked at Guopai and the others and shouted loudly. Then she felt the essence and blood in her body tumbling. She couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Today, I am just collecting some interest. This is Brother Liu's territory. I don't want to kill you, but it will be different after the auction. When Guopai's voice came out, all the people who were watching the show showed a trace of surprise. Who was this young man? He actually made Fuzhong and Su Sai suffer. Boss, how strong is that boy? Fuzhong has always been protective. I am afraid we will have a tough battle after the auction. Guotan Yuan said softly. He is at the peak of the gold core realm. He must have used some kind of magic treasure to trap Huda and the others that day. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to do it so quickly. Futaba is not with him. They will have to fight Fuzhong sooner or later. Fuzhong, you bullied my people and are still so arrogant. Do you think I, Guopai, am a pushover? Guopai said softly. They sat in the restaurant. The young man, arranged by Ding Liu, soon filled Guopai's table with food. This Mr. Guopai was definitely not easy to deal with. Little monkey, who is that Guopai? Are you going to tell me or not? Don't think that I am not willing to kill you, because I have taken a fancy to your talent. Su Sai returned to his residence and hung Futaba up and asked fiercely, Boss is here. Your breath is disordered. You must have fought with Bad Boss and been beaten up badly by him. If you know what is good for you, let go of your Uncle Futaba. I can still plead for you to let Bad Boss spare your life. Otherwise, you will die without a complete corpse. Futaba looked at Su Sai and said loudly, Damn monkey, I will kill you before I die. After Su Sai finished speaking, he once again locked Futaba in a special cage and sat cross-legged on the bed. He had suffered a loss in the battle of consciousness with Guopai just now. If he did not deal with it in time, it would have a big impact on his future cultivation. He actually locked up Futaba. I know where he is. I will rescue Futaba before the auction. Su Sai did not notice that when he was competing with Guopai, Guopai had set up a sound transmission array on him. Guopai, who was eating, naturally heard the conversation between Su Sai and Futaba. Chapter 5:15. After breakfast, Guopai informed Guotan Yuan, and several people followed the auction house youth into the auction venue. Guopai turned and walked towards Su Sai's residence. Guopai, wait. I will never let you leave Donghai alive. Su Sai recovered for half an hour and finally forced out the blood clots in her heart meridian. She couldn't help but shout, Su Sai, open the door. Don't wait until the auction is over. I'm here. Susai's voice just fell, and that hateful voice sounded in her ears again. Susai was stunned and opened the door with a gloomy face. The top 3 masters in Donghai Fu Sect's intersect ranking were blocked at the door. Shameful, this was a big loss of face. Guopai, the auction is about to start. I don't want to have a conflict with you. If you still don't let go, I don't mind having a good fight with you. Don't think that just because I lost to you, you can beat me. Susai said with a gloomy face. I'm not going to play with you now. Let Futaba go and I'll let you live a little longer. Otherwise, I don't mind having a fight with you now. Guopai said, looking at Susai with the 7 stars compass in his left hand and the sky flipping seal in his right hand. Smelly monkey, your master is here to pick you up. Get out of here. Susai looked at the thing in Guopai's hand. It was definitely not an ordinary thing. If they fought now, she would definitely be at a disadvantage. Susai unhappily opened the cage. Futaba walked out of the cage with a complacent face and ran happily to Guopai. Susai, I'll give you a piece of advice for free. Don't shout smelly monkey so casually. Some people are disgusted by these 3 words. If you provoke that person, even if your Fuzong sect has great ability, it will still bring about a calamity that will destroy your sect. Guopao finished his words and walked towards the auction house with Mao Tu. Guopai, I'll remember this matter. Just you wait. If I let you leave Donghai alive, my surname is not Su. Susai looked at Guopai walking away and secretly thought. Guopai naturally didn't know Susai's last sentence. Guopai was scolding Futaba. Boss, listen to me first. I know I'm wrong. I shouldn't have sneaked out with Meng Meng. Boss, please forgive me this time. Futaba looked at Guopai, squinted at himself, and quickly admitted his mistake. Futaba, when I brought you guys out from Firecloud Island, you promised me that you would listen to everything I said in the Imperial capital. I've only been out for a few days, and you brought Meng Meng to Donghai. You should know how dangerous the outside world is. If I didn't come this time, Huda and the others might have been sold to some sects in Donghai as guardian beasts. Guopai said softly, Boss, I know I'm wrong. Futaba said again with his head drooped. Futaba, this is the last time. If there's a next time, I'll send you back to Firecloud Island. I think that's more suitable for you there. After Guopai finished speaking, Futaba hurriedly nodded his head. Futaba's attitude satisfied Guopai. 6-ear macaque, after your blood awakens, I won't have to worry about you anymore. But when will your blood awaken? Walking to the entrance of the auction, the young man arranged by Ding Liu was waiting for Guopai at the entrance. Then, he brought Guopai to a private room. Qin Wui and Lei Ao had also arrived, including Hu De and the others. The private room wasn't too crowded. The table was filled with all kinds of delicious food. The little girl had just finished her breakfast, but she started eating again. Futaba, that guy didn't mistreat you, right? Hu De and the others saw Futaba sitting on Guopai's shoulder and hurriedly asked, No, you just took care of me for 2 days. Are you guys all right? 6 of us in the form transformation stage couldn't even beat one of him. We've really embarrassed ourselves this time. Futaba said with a laugh. Hu De and the others stopped talking. Futaba, you said there was something here that attracted you. When the auction starts, if you have this feeling again, tell me. I'll help you get the item. After you get the item, go back to the Imperial capital and go into closed-door training. Only come out when you've successfully transformed. Guopai looked at Futaba and said loudly. Futaba nodded his head with a serious face. Then, Guopai chatted with Qin Wui and Lei Ao for a while. At this time, Ding Liu appeared in their vision. Today, Ding Liu was particularly spirited. Wearing a white robe, he stood on the rostrum. On his left and right sides stood 2 beauties. The 2 beauties were twins. First of all, on behalf of the auction house, I would like to welcome everyone to this auction. Today, there are a total of 1,383 items to be auctioned in the main hall. Naturally, there will be 18 other auction halls around the auction house. As for the exact number of items to be auctioned, we have yet to calculate it. Like I said before, the Eastern Sea Auction House does not auction ordinary items. We do not accept credit. Everyone, just prepare your spirit stones. After saying that, Ding Liu walked down from the rostrum and handed the task of hosting this auction to the twins on the rostrum. Ladies and gentlemen, most of you are old customers of the Eastern Sea Auction House. However, there is still a need for us to explain the rules of the auction to our new customers. All the items up for auction must be paid with spirit stones within 15 minutes. Otherwise, the item will no longer belong to you. If you are unable to pay with spirit stones, then the 1,000 mid-grade spirit stones you paid will not be refunded. The auction house will collect 5% of the processing fee from your sect. If you are unable to pay the processing fee, do not blame the auction house for not giving you face. After the two beauties finished speaking, the auction officially began. This is the first item of this auction, the colorful coral. The Eastern Sea is vast, and there are countless corals. However, corals with 7 colors have only appeared 3 times in the past auctions. The colorful coral contains a huge amount of energy. As for how to use it, the auction house is not very clear about it. The starting price of this colorful coral is 10,000 mid-grade spirit stones. Each increment must not be less than 100 mid-grade spirit stones. Everyone, let's begin. According to the exchange rate of spirit stones in the Eastern Sea, 1 high-grade spirit stone could be exchanged for 1,000 mid-grade spirit stones. 1 mid-grade spirit stone could be exchanged for 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. However, generally, no one would exchange high-grade spirit stones for earth-grade spirit stones. This was because the spirit stones had spirit. The spirit energy in the spirit stones would gradually disappear with the passage of time. However, the higher the quality of the spirit stones, the slower the spirit energy would disappear. No one would want to exchange a pile of low-grade spirit stones for 100 years to turn into a pile of stones. 20,000 mid-grade spirit stones. An old man raised a sign in his hand and shouted when Ding Shuyu's voice fell. This man is Xiao Wuqing, the elder of the Hunyuan Valley in the Eastern Sea. He is a loner, but his strength has reached the peak of the Gold Core realm. The Hunyuan Valley can be considered as a reputable sect in the Eastern Sea. Qin Wui whispered to Guopai. 25,000 mid-grade spirit stones. Brother Xiao, I'm really sorry, but I also want this item. Xiao Wuqing's voice had just faded when an old man not far away said with a smile. In the end, the colorful coral was bought by Xiao Wuqing for 50,000 mid-grade spirit stones. The first item alone made Guopai understand one thing. There were many sects in the Eastern Sea, and there were many conflicts. Moreover, with the little money he had now, he could not be considered a landlord in the Eastern Sea. Chapter 516. The scale of the entire East Sea auction made Guopao lament that no matter how much trouble an auction in the mortal world had, it could never be compared to an auction in the cultivator world. Not to mention that spirit stones could not be bought with money. Just these things alone would fetch a sky-high price if they were taken outside, as long as they met someone who knew the value of the goods. Thinking about how his elixirs were being auctioned in the mortal world, it was really a waste of natural resources. Although the auction house was very lively, there were not many things that could catch Guopai's eye. In the morning, more than 100 items were sold. Guopai spent 90,000 medium-level spirit stones to buy a string of Buddhist prayer beads and did not bid for anything else. Futaba, haven't you sensed the thing that summoned you? Guopai asked with a smile, playing with the Buddhist prayer beads in his hand. Boss, it must be at the auction. I just don't know when it will be auctioned or if it's the item that will be auctioned this time. Futaba said with low interest. Don't worry. As long as the item is at the EC auction house, I will find a way to get it for you. But what exactly is it that you want, and what can it do for you? Guopai said with a smile. I don't know what it is exactly, but it must be very useful to me. Guopai could not help but shake his head at Futaba's words. This matter was difficult to deal with if he did not know anything. However, just as Guopai was shaking his head, Futaba suddenly stood up. Boss, it's the thing on the stage. No wonder I couldn't sense it. It was in the box. It's the thing on the stage. Boss, hurry up and get it. If Guotan Yuan had not stopped him, Futaba would have rushed out of the private room. In front of Ding Shuyu was a 1-meter-long box of unknown material. She opened it, and there was a pitch-black stick inside. There was no aura coming from it. The next item was found in the deepest part of the source of the East Sea by an elder of the East Sea auction house. The auction house studied it for several days and found nothing special about it. So, we decided to put it up for auction. We hope that someone will buy it and not let it be buried, Ding Shuyu said softly. The audience below the stage began to discuss. An unknown item was being auctioned at an auction. The intention was obvious. Perhaps they could catch one or two spendthrifts. Such a thing had never happened before. 100 years ago, an unknown stone was auctioned at an auction. In the end, it was bought by a young master of a large sect in the East Sea for a price of 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. In the end, it was discovered that it was just an ordinary stone. The young master almost fought with the auction house. "Beautiful lady, I wonder what the base price of this rod is. The auction house has already done something like this once." Who would have thought that 100 years later, it would be the same trick again? This time, the newcomers should pay attention. "This is a good item, haha." A young man laughed loudly. The meaning of his words was obvious. Ding Shuyu's face turned red, and the audience laughed even louder. The base price of this item is 10,000 high-grade primordial stones. Each increment must be no less than 100 high-grade primordial stones. Friends who like this item, you can bid now. If anyone has doubts about the auction house, you can talk to our young master directly, Ding Shuyu said loudly. The audience's laughter subsided a lot. However, a group of people shook their heads, which made those who wanted to buy the item give up. After all, 10,000 high-grade primordial stones could buy a lot of good things. If no one bids, this item will go unsold. "Let's get ready for the next item," Ding Shuyu said softly as she looked at the crowd below the stage. The 107th item is... Before Ding Shuyu could say unsold, a voice came from box number 1. "Beautiful lady, 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. I'll take this item." Guopai's voice resounded in the auction house, and everyone's attention was focused on box number 1. "Damn, there's really a spendthrift here. I'll do the same after I turn my island into an auction house," an old man among the few people who had spoken just now said with his eyes wide open. 10,000 high-grade primordial stones. If no one bids higher, this item will go to box number 1. Ding Shuyu said with a smile. Ding Shupei said with a smile. It was good that none of the items had gone unsold. Out of more than 1,000 items, 3 of them might go unsold. This was one of them. If they could sell these 3 items, the 2 sisters would gain a lot of benefits. Could it be that this thing is a treasure? Susai could tell that the person in box number 1 was Guopai. She could not help but think to herself. Then, an evil smile appeared on her face. "Beautiful lady, I'll bid 20,000 high-grade primordial stones. I want this item too," Susai said loudly to the rostrum. This time, no one talked about it. Few people knew Guopai in the auction house, but many people had heard of Susai from Fuzhong, so no one wanted to look for trouble. However, at this time, Ding Liu could no longer sit still. He had studied this staff for a long time, but he couldn't find anything special about it. This auction was definitely going to find a spendthrift. Originally, when Guopao called out a bid of 10,000 high-grade spirit stones, Ding Liu didn't think much about it. In any case, Guopao could get nearly 3 million high-grade spirit stones from the spirit stone mine. He didn't lack money. However, now that Susai called out a bid, something was wrong. Although this is my first time attending the EC auction, I usually get what I want. 30,000 high-grade spirit stones. Susai continued. "I'd like to see how many spirit stones your Fuzhong can give a disciple like you to spend," Guopai said loudly. He knows that the person bidding with him is Susai. This person has a conflict with Susai, so he dares to challenge Fuzhong in public. Who is this guy? However, he should be a guest of the EC auction house, since he can be in the number 1 box. The crowd began to discuss. 40,000 high-grade spirit stones. Guopai continued. "I'd like to see how many spirit stones a sect in the inland of Huaxia can afford to support you in bidding for this thing." Susai stood up and said loudly. At this time, the conflict between Guopao and Susai had been confirmed. Now, everyone's attention was no longer on how much the black stick could be sold for. Instead, They wanted to see who the young man in front of them was. He actually dared to find trouble with Fuzhong in the East China Sea. 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. You can ask Brother Luoyu how many spirit stones I can afford. Haha. Guo Pai's words made many people look at Ding Liu, young Master Ding, who was not far from the #1 box. Damn it, I'm so unlucky. Why are you two fighting over me? Bad brother, you are really not afraid of trouble. Ding Luoyu thought in his heart, and then stood up. Brother Su Sai, don't say that I didn't warn you. With your reputation, you can get 150,000 high-grade spirit stones in advance from the EC auction house. Mr. Guo Pai's spirit stones are far more than yours. I hope you can think about it carefully. Ding Liyu's words exploded in the crowd like a bomb. Far more than Su Sai? How many spirit stones does this person have? Amazing. When did such a person appear in East Sea? Could it be that a spirit stone mine has also been found in the inland? Xiao Wuqing, who had previously bid for the colorful coral, said softly, 150,000 high-grade spirit stones. Brother Luoyu said that I can get 150,000 high-grade spirit stones in advance. Then I will bet all of them on this thing. Su Sai shouted. He was helpless and unwilling. Such a rubbish thing was useless to him, but now he had to bid again. 150,000 high-grade spirit stones to buy a fire stick. Only a person whose head has been squeezed by the door can offer such a price. This thing is yours. Beauty, drop the hammer. I don't want this thing, huh? Guo Pai said with a laugh. Several people from the big sects of East Sea finally couldn't help laughing. Su Sai of Fuzhong had been fooled. Su Sai, this thing is yours. Don't tell me you don't want it after paying the 5% handling fee. Ha! Guo Pai's words undoubtedly added fuel to the fire. Su Sai's face turned livid. Guo Pai, just you wait. Your good days won't be long. Su Sai threw out a sentence and turned to fly out of the auction house. Chapter 517. The crowd watched as Su Sai left the auction venue. Then they looked at Guo Pai, who had walked out of the private room with a smug look on his face. Suddenly, they all listed Guo Pai as someone they could not afford to offend. This young man's means were not ordinary. Brother Luoyu, if there's nothing else, I think the auction can continue. Ladies and gentlemen, Guo Pai from Tiandao sect has some personal grudges with Fuzhong. Sorry for making a fool of myself. After saying that, Guo Pai returned to the private room. However, judging from the crowd's reaction, the name Tiandao sect would definitely become popular in the EC. Ding Luoyu nodded at the Ding twins on the stage. The auction continued, but in private room #1, Futaba could no longer sit still. Futaba, calm down. Su Sai is just holding the item for you. I guarantee that it will still be yours. Guo Pai patted Futaba's head and said with a smile. Futaba looked at the confident Guo Pai and stayed in his seat obediently. The next item is also a stone square obtained from the source of the EC. Its specific use is unknown. Friends who are interested can bid now. The starting price is 10,000 upper-level spirit stones, and each bid must not be lower than 100 upper-level spirit stones, Ding Shuyu said softly. Ahem, the EC auction house is really daring. They actually have 2 such items this time. Just as Ding Shuyu's voice fell, the crowd began to discuss again. Futaba, feel if the stone square is calling you. Guo Pai smiled at Futaba, who was not very interested. Boss, don't make fun of me. I don't feel anything. It is just an ordinary stone. Futaba said without raising his head. 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. I am also interested in this item. If there is anyone else who is interested, you can increase the price. If there is no one else, this item is mine, Guo Pao said loudly to the stage. Cough, cough, cough. This Guo Pai is actually still here. Su Sai has already left. Everyone play with him, spending 10,000 high-grade spirit stones to bid for a broken stone. One interesting fellow. The sect master of the Tiger Shark sect, ranked 7th in the Eastern Sea, suddenly said with a smile, Beauty, why don't you give this thing to Brother Guo Pai? We don't want it. A middle-aged man said loudly, and the others echoed. Since no one is bidding anymore, this item belongs to Mr. Guo Pai. Ding Luoyu said with a smile. Previously, Ding Luoyu had instructed that Guo Pai's item should be directly sent to the private room. The group of people watched as the staff of the auction house carried the 1-meter square stone to Guopai's private room. 10,000 high-grade spirit stones piled up together is much more valuable than this stone square. It was unknown who said this sentence, but the group of people burst into laughter. Guopai naturally heard the group's discussion. Even Tong Yuan subconsciously walked to the front of the stone square and touched it with his hand. However, other than the low temperature, there was nothing special about the stone square. Junior brother, don't you recognize this thing? Guopai looked at Tong Yuan and said with a smile, Boss, it seems that you are mistaken this time. This shouldn't be a treasure. I used my divine sense to check it just now. The inside is the same as the outside. It is a stone square. Tong Yuan said with a smile, Daju, Kong Fei, I need you two to bleed. Bleed a bowl each. When we go back, I will refine a few medicinal pills to strengthen your corporeity. Guopai said loudly to the two big guys who were playing with Meng Meng. Daju and Kong Fei quivered. Boss hadn't bleed them for a long time. What was he going to do today? Don't look at me like that. I don't know if this thing is the same as the one I saw before. However, if this thing was found at the same time as the stick that Futaba wanted, it should be the same one. Guopai was still speaking in riddles. Boss, what does this stone square have to do with that thing of mine? Futaba asked when he heard Guopai talking about the thing that he wanted. Daju, Kong Fei, bleed first. If there is a third item in this auction that is found from the source of the East Sea, I will tell you what kind of treasure this stone square is. Guopai said with a smile. At this time, Ding Shuyu's voice came from the rostrum. The next item is also from the source of the East Sea. Don't look at me like that. The two items just now were sold together with this one. Originally, they were going to be sold together, but the elders who found these three things did not agree, so they were sold separately. I won't say much. The starting price is 10,000 high-grade raw stones. If no one bids, we will move on to the next item. Ding Shuyu stuck out her tongue and whispered. It was precisely because of Ding Shuyu's soft tongue that the people under the stage were more certain of their opinion. This thing was a waste. Two of them had already been sold. Even the people in the auction house were a little embarrassed. However, at this time, many people's eyes fell on the first box. Brother Guopai, do you want this thing? If you don't bid, this thing will not be sold. A middle-aged man joked. The crowd burst into laughter again. I want it. Why wouldn't I? I've already bought one. I don't lack this bit of money. 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. If there are any of the friends who want it, hurry up and increase the price. Guopao walked out from the private room and said smilingly. At this time, even Ding Liu shook his head helplessly. This bad brother of his was really giving him face. Not only did he not bid for one item, he also bid for 3 items. Ding Liu had spent 150,000 high-grade spirit stones on Su Sai, and he had to pay another 20,000 high-grade spirit stones. Even if he was rich, he should not squander his money like this. However, half an hour later, Ding Liu was full of regret. Ding Shiyu didn't even say anything about the item Guopao had bought. When the item was brought into the room, the people in the room saw clearly what it was. It looked like a hammer-shaped object, but it seemed to be made of a much harder material than the stone they had just bought. Guopai held the hammer and compared it, except that it was a little heavier than ordinary stone hammers. There seemed to be nothing special about it. At this time, Kong Fei and Daju had already filled the jade bowls handed by Guopai with blood essence. After each of them drank a bowl of blood essence, their faces turned pale. Guopai threw a blood-red elixir to each of them. After taking the elixir, they looked slightly better. Boss, don't keep us in suspense. What is the use of this stone square and this stone hammer? Tell us. Guopai asked with a smile. Even Meng Meng, who had been making trouble at the side, looked at Guopai curiously. According to the tomes of Arcane, the 4 monkeys are the wise stone monkey, the red-boned horse monkey, the long-armed ape monkey, and the 6-eared macaque. They are not heaven, earth god, human, or ghost. They are not a species of the 10 species and do not live up to their names. When the 4 monkeys are born, there are 4 stones. They are called the rootless stone, the red refined stone, the sky stone, and the stone of 6 Tao, Guopai said with a smile. Boss, Do you mean that this big stone square is one of the 4 stones? Guotan Yuan asked with his eyes wide open. Between heaven and earth, there are 2 of each of the 4 stones. Think about it. The great sage had a rootless stone in his hand, and the other one was missing. The 6-eared macaque was able to be on par with the great sage because he had a stone of 6 Tao in his hand. I have not seen the red refined stone and the sky stone of the long-armed ape monkey, but I have seen the stone of 6 Tao placed under the feet of the Buddha once. Guopai said with a smile. He slowly picked up the stone hammer and immersed it in the blood of Dazhu and Kong Fei. Guopai naturally did not know that just a few days ago, the great sage Sun had taken back the rootless stone from Hongjun ancestor. With the help of the rootless stone, the monkey had broken through the 12th level of heaven. The reason why Pangu was able to create heaven and earth was not because of his ability as a great sorcerer and the axe in his hand. It is really interesting to think about the 4 strange stones between heaven and earth. Open for me, Guopai said, and the stone hammer in his hand seemed to hit the stone square very slowly. Bang! Chapter 518. As the stone hammer fell, cracks slowly appeared on the stone. Following that, a terrifying energy spread out from the stone. Fortunately, Guopai had set up a formation in advance. Otherwise, the entire room would have been destroyed. Everyone in the room stared at the cracked stone. There was a faint trace of black inside. However, if they wanted to know what was inside, they would have to wait until the cracked stone fell off. But now, there was one person who could not hide the excitement in his heart. Futaba, what are you waiting for? Imprint your blood essence on the stone of 6 paths. We don't know if there will be a second 6-eared macaque. Consider yourself lucky. Guopai said to Futaba with a smile. Futaba was straightforward. He clenched his paws into fists and punched toward his chest. He spat out a mouthful of blood on the cracked stone. The stone wrapped around the black stone of 6 paths quickly fell off. A shocking energy rushed towards Futaba. Huda, the 6 of you go guard outside the room. No matter who it is, if they want to enter the room, stop them. Guopai shouted at Huda and the 6 others. The 6 of them hurriedly rushed out of the room and surrounded the room. At this time, many people noticed the change in room 1. What was this Tiandao sect brat doing? Bad guy, what's going on? Why did you let your brothers guard outside? Ding Liu quickly walked to the door of room 1, but he was stopped by Huda. Ding Liu shouted towards the room. Huda, let Brother Liu in. Guopai's voice came from the room. Huda stepped aside, and Ding Liu entered the room. Then, his gaze fell on Futaba. Bad guy, is that the stone you just bought? What on earth is that? Brother, you seem to have picked up a great treasure, Ding Liu said softly to Guopai after looking at it for a while. Brother Liu, it's not really a bargain. Only I can use this stone formula. If others bid for it, it would be useless. Besides, I have paid 20,000 high-grade spirit stones for these 2 items, Guopai said with a smile. Although Guopai said this, the pure energy coming out of the stone of 6 paths made Ding Liu feel like he had suffered a great loss. He then looked at Futaba, who was sitting next to the stone. Originally, Futaba only had a little more spiritual energy than a normal monkey, but now he felt a trace of fear. I don't know when Futaba will wake up. He might even transform, so I'll have to trouble Brother Liu for his safety, Guopai said to Ding Liu with a smile. Then, he handed a jade bottle to Ding Liu. Bad guy, you're too polite. I'll ask the 8 elders of the punishment hall to come. I guarantee that there won't be any trouble, Ding Liu said with a smile as he took the jade bottle. Guopai's product was definitely a classic. Ding Liu couldn't refuse it. Guo Shuai nodded. Ding Liu walked out of the number 1 box. Within a few minutes, 8 core formation stage elders were standing guard outside the number 1 box. The people in the auction were even more convinced that something interesting had happened in the number 1 box. Futaba, comprehend the stone of 6 paths well. It doesn't matter if you can transform or not. When you were born, you didn't have a stone of 6 paths to accompany you. Whether you can reach the same level as your ancestor depends on your own luck. After Guopai finished speaking, he looked back at the auction. The auction had already started on the rostrum. The pills that he had given to Ding Liu were already being auctioned. Next, we'll be auctioning 3 types of pills. There are 9 pills of each type: youth-retaining pill, meridian's opening pill, and Dawan pill. Our auction house has already asked people to try these 3 types of pills. I'm sure everyone has heard of the youth-retaining pill. 30 years ago, it appeared in the auction house once. There was only one youth-retaining pill, which could make people lose their face. However, the quality of the youth-retaining pill being auctioned today is much higher than the one back then, Ding Shu said with a smile. Beauty, the youth-retaining pill, is for girls. Let's talk about the Meridian's opening pill and Dawan pill. Our outer disciples of the Sisan sect heard that the Meridian's opening pill appeared in the inland. It's a very magical pill. I wonder if the effects of the pills this time are the same as the ones that appeared in the inland. A middle-aged man shouted loudly. The Meridian's opening pill this time is even more effective than the ones that appeared in the inland auction house. This time, the Meridian's opening pill can make a master at the peak of the enlightened stage enter the fasting stage directly. Of course, the price is 10 years of life. 10 years of life. However, don't forget that the lifespan of a master at the fasting stage is much longer than that at the enlightened stage, Ding Shupei said loudly. The crowd below the stage began to discuss. Little girl, ask Ding Luoyu to come here. You have to be responsible for what you said. Don't ruin the reputation of your auction house. An old man stood up and said loudly to the 2 girls, Uncle Mo, you're a regular customer of our auction house. When has our auction house ever bought something that doesn't match the description? If we don't understand, we will tell you directly. Of course, the effects of the pills have been verified by our auction house before we dare to say so. Of course, there's one thing that I can't guarantee, and that is the lifespan. No one can be sure about the lifespan. Ding Luoyu landed on the stage and said with a smile, Little chap Ding, I'm glad to hear your words. If the pills are really as magical as you said, I would like to buy a few and try them, Mo Yuanfa said with a smile. Beauty, you have told us about the effects of the meridian dredging pill. What about the effects of the recover pill? Tell us about them. Someone in the crowd asked. The effect of the recover pill is more magical than that of the meridian dredging pill. It can let people at the peak of the primordial realm directly enter the enlightening period without any side effects. If a talented disciple in a sect has such a pill, he can directly break through the bottleneck of the primordial realm and enter the enlightening period. It will save him a lot of trouble and change his life greatly. You should know the value of the recover pill. Ding Luoyu stood on the stage and shouted loudly without saying anything. Little chap Ding, don't tempt us anymore. What's your base price? Don't waste our time. An old man stood up and said loudly. Those who knew this old man knew that Yi Mingyang was already at the peak of the fasting period. Naturally, he didn't need these pills. However, he had a disappointing son who was only at the peak of the primordial realm after cultivating for more than 100 years. The recover pill undoubtedly gave him hope. The base price is 10,000 upper-level spirit stones. Each increment must be at least 1,000 upper-level spirit stones. Let's begin, Ding Luoyu said and flew back to his seat, ignoring the crazy crowd below the stage. 10,000 upper-level spirit stones is too cheap. This old man will pay 50,000, Yi Mingyang said loudly. Old man Yi, you are really rich. But 50,000 upper-level spirit stones is far from enough to buy 3 pills. If we give it to you for only 50,000 upper-level spirit stones, where will old man Ding put his face? 100,000 upper-level spirit stones. Ha ha. An old man laughed loudly. Fan Jinglei, you are the one who is really rich. But this pill is mine. 120,000 upper-level spirit stones. Yi Mingyang continued to shout loudly. You 2 old fogies, don't tell me you 2 are treating this auction as child's play. 150,000 high-grade spirit stones? I'd like to try this pill too. An old man joined in, but when the price of 150,000 upper-level spirit stones was called out, Yi Mingyang and Fan Jinglei suddenly stopped talking. Jiang Tuanhai, this guy is a loner in the EC. Normal people don't dare to provoke him. Lei Ao whispered to Guopai. Guopai smiled and nodded. Normal sex could not afford to provoke a master of the core formation stage. 150,000 upper-level spirit stones. If no one raises the price, this pill belongs to Senior Jiang. Ding Shuyu said softly. Jiang Tuanhai basically came to every auction. This old man was not short of money. As long as he saw something he liked, he was willing to spend money. Also, usually no one dared to compete with him. 150,000 upper-level spirit stones. This pill belongs to Senior Jiang. Chapter 519. Jiang Tuanhai threw a brocade pouch to Ding Luoyu. Guopai's eyes fell on the brocade pouch. Good stuff, this is good stuff. There is a space formation in the brocade pouch. There should be spirit stones in it. Little chap Ding, there are 300,000 upper-level spirit stones and some other things in it. You can take 150,000 upper-level spirit stones and some other things. It's up to you. Give me the elixir quickly, Jiang Tuanhai said with a smile. Ding Luoyu winked at several assistants of the auction house and took the brocade pouch himself. Although old Jiang liked to force people to buy things, he liked the way of paying. He had the spirit stones, and the things were the most important. The assistants of the auction house trotted all the way and handed the jade bottle containing the elixir to Jiang Tuanhai. Ding Liu had already taken the brocade pouch and ran backstage. Little chap, Ding got the advantage again, but I hope these 3 elixirs won't let me down, Jiang Tuanhai said and opened the jade token. A strong medicinal fragrance came out. Grandpa Jiang, the meridian dredging elixir and the Dahuan elixir are useful to you, but the youth-retaining pill has no effect on you. Can you give it to me? I'll pay you 1,000 upper-level spirit stones, okay? Not far from Jiang Tuanhai, a little girl less than 20 years old stood up and said to Jiang Tuanhai with a smile, "It's the little girl of the Leaf family. You really dare to ask for 1,000 upper-level spirit stones. But you are much more pleasing to the eye than old Li. This youth-retaining pill is yours. Tell your grandpa that after the auction is over, I will go to your house and ask for a drink." Jiang Tuanhai said and poured out the youth-retaining pill from the jade bottle and threw it to the little girl. Hee. Thank you, Grandpa Jiang. Here are 1,000 upper-level spirit stones. We are even. As for you going to my house to drink, you can discuss it with the old man. I don't want to go home recently, Li Yanran said with a smile. She picked up the elixir and stuffed it directly into her mouth without asking how to take it. Everyone's gaze fell on the girl from the Li family. Why would she take the youth-retaining pill at such a young age? Even if she took it at such a young age, it wouldn't have any effect. However, after a while, all the women in the auction house made up their minds. They had to get at least one youth-retaining pill. After Li Yanran took the face-retaining elixir, she grew up eating heavenly materials and earthly treasures. There were very few impurities in her body, but there were more or less some. After taking the face-retaining elixir, one could see with the naked eye that there was something black emerging from Li Yanran's palm at a speed visible to the naked eye. Li Yanran's eyes were wide open. The youth-retaining pill actually has the effect of cleansing the marrow. This pill is too miraculous. I wonder what effect this meridian-opening pill will have on me. Saying that, Jiang Tuanhai put the meridian-opening pill into his mouth. Then, a pure energy filled his meridians. Although he was already in the Dan formation realm, the effect of the pill was very obvious. It made Jiang Tuanhai feel very comfortable. Almost the gold core is about to be completed, Jiang Tuanhai said to himself. The last layer of the gold core realm was not broken, but Jiang Tuanhai's strength was indeed much stronger than before. However, thinking that he still had a recover pill, Jiang Tuanhai smiled with satisfaction. 150,000 upper-level spirit stones for 3 pills. It was worth it. It was really worth it. Several people who had a good relationship with Jiang Tuanhai naturally saw the change in old Jiang, but now they were no longer looking at old Jiang. Instead, they returned to the auction stage. The 2 girls said that there would be a total of 9 pills, and this was only the first one. There were still 8 left. They still had a chance. Looking at the enthusiastic expressions of the people under the stage, the 2 girls began to get excited. Ding Xiu said with a smile, when the second jade bottle was brought to the stage. Same as before, the starting price is 10,000 upper-level spirit stones. We can start now. 100,000 upper-level spirit stones. I'll pay 100,000. Liu Patian, the head of the Liu family of the Eastern Sea, shouted loudly. The youth-retaining pills effect aside, the other 2 pills were enough to improve the strength of his 2 sons. At least in this way, the Liu family would not be bullied after he passed away. 150,000 upper-level spirit stones. Yi Mingyang naturally saw the change in Jiang Tuanhai and shouted. He no longer cared about his disappointing son. With these 2 pills, he could cultivate his grandson with all his strength. 160,000 upper-level spirit stones. Fan Jinglei shouted. 170,000. Chun Jinlong of the Chun family of the Eastern Sea stood up and said with a smile. 100,000 upper-level spirit stones was not a lot for the big families. 200,000. An old man in the first row, who had been dozing off the whole morning, slowly stood up and said a few words. The people who had been fighting for a long time squatted down in their seats. Guopai's eyes fell on the old man in the first row. The head of the Bei family of the Eastern Sea, Bei Shinren, is a monster. 100 years ago, he fought with the head of the number 1 family of the Eastern Sea, Wan Yinfei. He defeated Wan Yinfei within 100 moves and established the Bei family's position in the Eastern Sea. However, the people of the Bei family are very low-key. Lei Ao whispered. That's a character, Guopai said with a smile. The second pill was won by Bei Shinren for 200,000 upper-level spirit stones. After the pill was delivered to him, the old man squinted his eyes again and let the others prepare for the third pill. The third pill will be auctioned now. The starting price is 10,000 upper-level spirit stones. Let's start. 100,000 upper-level spirit stones. Yi Mingyang was the first to bid. Although the first 2 pills were sold at a sky-high price of 150,000 and 200,000, according to Yi Mingyang's understanding, the price of 100,000 to 150,000 upper-grade spirit stones was enough to get a pill. However, he was wrong, very wrong. 230,000 upper-level spirit stones. An unknown family head said with a smile. The group of people looked at the middle-aged man who bid. The middle-aged man nodded politely to the crowd and won the third pill at 230,000 upper-level spirit stones. 250,000 upper-level spirit stones. The fourth pill was won by Yi Mingyang for 250,000 upper-level spirit stones. However, the youth-retaining pill was won by a girl from the Eastern Sea Clear Cloud sect for 50,000 upper-level spirit stones. Yi Mingyang had spent 200,000 upper-level spirit stones on 2 pills. The fifth pill was won by Fan Jinglei for the same price. The sixth pill was sold for 300,000 upper-level spirit stones. The seventh pill was sold for 330,000 upper-level spirit stones. The eighth pill was sold for 400,000 upper-level spirit stones. The last pill was sold for a total of 550,000 upper-level spirit stones. At this point, all the pills that Guopai gave to Ding Liu had been sold. Of course, Ding Liu had to pay the highest price of 550,000 upper-level spirit stones for each pill. Of course, this amount of money was nothing to Ding Liu. The auction in the morning ended when the last batch of medicinal pills was sold. Many people who didn't manage to obtain any medicinal pills asked the auction house about the person who provided the medicinal pills. However, they were all rejected by Ding Liu. However, there were also many people who set their sights on Guopao and the others. After all, in the past 100 years, everyone knew the several alchemists of the Eastern Sea. Only this young man who was in the limelight during the auction was unfamiliar to them. The biggest reason was that this young man didn't make a move when he was faced with 9 such miraculous medicinal pills. Of course, Guopai did not know all of this. At this moment, he was eating delicious grilled fish in a box and guiding Futaba to absorb the energy of the Stone of 6 Paths bad guy. This time he made a big profit. I don't know if you have any more of those pills. If you do, I guarantee that at the next auction, each pill will be sold for 1,000,000 upper-level spirit stones. Ding Liu walked in from outside and said with a smile, "Brother, I spent the highest price of 550,000 upper-level spirit stones for one pill. Brother Loyu, consider your pill a gift from your big brother. You don't have to give me any upper-level spirit stones. Guopai said with a smile, but shouldn't you tell us if there is anything worth paying attention to in the auction this afternoon? You saw it yourself. Your big brother has so many upper-level spirit stones, but I did not spend them. 10,000 years ago, a big event happened in the Eastern Sea. Bad guy. I don't know if you have heard about it. Ding Liu said with a smile. Taoist Tong Yuan failed to ascend to the heavenly realm. However, he left behind a lot of things in the Eastern Sea. In the afternoon, one of Taoist Tong Yuan's mansions will be auctioned. Bad guy, just prepare your spirit stones. I guarantee that you will see what a shocking auction is. Cough, cough, cough. Taoist Tong Yuan's mansion? Are you sure? Guopai did not speak. Tong Yuan, who was standing to the side, coughed a few times and asked with wide eyes. Chapter 520. Ding Liu looked at the people in front of him with a smile. What kind of expression was that? Wasn't it just the mansion of Taoist Tong Yuan? You don't have to be like this, do you? Back then, Zhang Sanfeng also ascended from the East Sea and left behind countless magic treasures. Many people in the East Sea found Zhang Sanfeng's mansions, but they didn't make much of a fuss. If it's really the mansion of Taoist Tong Yuan, we'll have to prepare some spirit stones to rob it in the afternoon, Guopai said with a smile. Bad guy, the mansion of an expert is not like other things. If you really want to bid for it, you'll have to prepare at least 15 million upper-grade spirit stones. According to my current assets, the spirit stone mine has more than 3 million upper-grade spirit stones, and the elixirs have more than 3 million upper-grade spirit stones. If you really want to bid for it, the auction house can pay for the rest of the money for you first. I have to go out and prepare for the auction in the afternoon, Ding Liu said with a smile and turned to leave. The people in room 1 looked at each other and then burst into laughter. Junior brother, I didn't expect you to have a mansion in the East Sea. Think about it carefully. Is there anything valuable in your mansion? If there is, we'll bid for it. We can't let others take advantage of us, Guopai said with a smile. What valuable items do you have? When I ascended to the celestial planes back then, I took all the magic treasures I could get my hands on. In the end, the 9 wrath of heavenly thunder blasted them all to smithereens. I do have several mansions in the East Sea, but I don't have anything particularly valuable, Tong Yuan said loudly, scratching his head. Then let's not get involved in this muddy water. I didn't expect Taoist Master Tong Yuan's name to be so famous in the East Sea. If we announce that you are Taoist Master Tong Yuan, I wonder if your enemies will be able to blast you to smithereens. Guopao and the others joked with a smile. Let's drink. After tens of thousands of years, even I can't find where my mansion was. I didn't expect it to be found by outsiders, Tong Yuan said with a trace of helplessness. Brother, are you sure you don't have anything valuable? We've never made a loss before, Guopai asked again with a smile. Tong Yuan rubbed his nose and said, if they found Taoist Tong Yuan's mansion, then there wouldn't be anything good. However, I have several other identities back then. If they found those mansions, then there are some magic treasures that could be used now. However, I don't think they have the ability to find one of my mansions. How can they find my other mansions? Taoist Tong Yuan touched his nose and said, it seems that we have to stay in the East China Sea for a while this time. After the auction is over, let's go to Fataba Sect and find that rod. Then, let's look for Brother Tong Yuan's mansion and see if there are any good things inside. Guopai said with a smile. The others nodded, but the happiest one was Xiao Mengmeng. Thinking about it, it was a good thing to be able to play on the sea for a few more days. At the beginning of the auction in the afternoon, the first few items were as lukewarm as in the morning. Until the 50th item, Guopai spent 40,000 upper-level spirit stones to buy a piece of superior-level spirit stone. The next item is something that many friends have been looking forward to for a long time. Recently, it was said that someone found Taoist Tong Yuan's mansion. The auction has confirmed that it is indeed Taoist Tong Yuan's mansion before he ascended. Now the auction begins. The starting price is 1 million upper-level spirit stones, and each increase must be no less than 10,000 upper-level spirit stones. Let's begin, Ding Shiyu said with a smile. Little girl, I'm afraid it's difficult to convince the public with such a hasty start. Little chap Ding, shouldn't you come up and tell us how to prove that the mansion you found is Taoist Tong Yuan's? An old man in the front row said loudly, and everyone nodded. Hee, Lord Zheng, you like to get to the bottom of things. It's not difficult for us to prove whether the mansion in the auction is Taoist Tong Yuan's. Ding Luoyu flew to the stage with a smile, and then a basketball-sized crystal appeared in his hand. Let's identify it together and see if our auction house is right. As soon as Ding Liu finished speaking, many people's eyes fell on the crystal ball. A few elders of the auction house appeared in the depths of the sea. On a large door, 3 illusory words Tong Yuan Mansion could be faintly seen. The few elders tried to open the door, but no matter how many methods they thought of, the door could not be opened. The few of them worked together to set up a formation at the door. The door disappeared, and the few people disappeared. Little chap Ding, didn't the people of your auction house go inside? Wan Yinfei, the head of the Wan family, asked with a smile. Lord Wan, we want to go in, but we don't know what kind of formation Taoist Tong Yuan set up outside the door. We can't deal with it. Of course, this is what I want to tell you. We will auction the mansion's address. As for whether you can go in after bidding for it, it depends on your luck. Ding Liu said loudly. Everyone nodded. Many people who wanted to bid for it began to consider whether they could enter Taoist Tong Yuan's mansion. Old Wan, why don't our 2 families work together? The formation that the auction house can't break is difficult for your Wan family alone. A family patriarch who was ranked in the top 10 said to Wan Yinfei with a smile. If you have the strength of Bei Shinren, I can even give you this mansion, Wan Yinfei said with narrowed eyes. Wan Yinfei narrowed his eyes as he spoke. The clan leader did not say anything else. He took a few steps back and returned to his seat. At this moment, Bei Shinren walked over to Wan Yinfei's side with a smile. Brother Wan, why are you acting like you've eaten gunpowder? Are you still thinking about the time when I won against you? We've all heard about Taoist Tong Yuan. This is an opportunity. Let's work together. Bei Shinren said with a smile. 40 to 60. I'll take 60 and you take 40. If you agree, I'll bid for it. Wan Yinfei said softly. Bei Shinren nodded, but the other family patriarchs were not ready to give up the matter of Taoist Tong Yuan's mansion because of the alliance of the 2 powerful forces. Junior brother, is this mansion your mansion? Guopai looked at the crystal ball and asked with a smile. These people are really powerful. This group of people is really powerful. This mansion is indeed one of my mansions in the past. However, there is nothing in this mansion. When I arrived at the EC at the beginning of the year, many of the cultivation treasures had already been occupied by various major forces. At that time, I was alone and weak. I had no choice but to find an ancient immortal's cave under the sea. So, I laid down a formation and made a gate. However, I only stayed inside for a day, no, half a day. Let's see who will bid for it. The other people in box number 1 also laughed. However, Qin Wui and Lei Ao were completely stunned. At the beginning, they thought that this little brat in front of them was joking. But now, it seemed like everything was real. This little brat in front of them was the reincarnation of Taoist Tong Yuan. Who was Guopai? No one in EC had ever heard of Taoist Tong Yuan having a senior brother. Family patriarchs, can the auction begin? Ding Luoyu looked at the group of influential people in EC in the front row and said with a smile. Bei Shinren and Wan Yinfei nodded, and the others followed suit. 5 million high-grade spirit stones. Our Bei and Wan families want to take a look at this mansion. Wan Yinfei stood up and said loudly, Damn, you want to monopolize this mansion with your influence? Guopao couldn't help but say. However, he had underestimated the strength of the other clans in the EC. They didn't need to compete for some small things, but how could they give up the residence of such an expert so easily? Old brother Wan, old brother Bei, I'm sorry, but our families also want to take a look. 7 million high-grade spirit stones. The Lu family patriarch who was trying to curry favor with Wan Yinfei stood up and said loudly, regardless of whether they could win the bid or not, they had to get back what they had lost. 755 high-grade spirit stones. You have already opened the mansions of many seniors. I think Taoist Tong Yuan's mansion should be left for us to try. A family patriarch who wasn't very famous stood up and said. More than 20 experts around him nodded. Obviously, they were in the same group. 10 million high-grade spirit stones. Guopai walked out of the box and shouted. Everyone, including Tong Yuan, was stunned. What was their boss trying to do? Chapter 521. When Guopao shouted out 10 million high-grade spirit stones, the crowd once again focused their attention on the first box. Friend, 10 million high-grade spirit stones is not a small amount. You should know the rules of the auction, right? Lu family head said loudly to Guopai. 10 million high-grade spirit stones is indeed not a small amount, but it's not a lot either. The pills just now were sold for 500,000 high-grade spirit stones. 10 million is just 20 pills. Guopai can afford it, Guopai said with a smile. This time, he confirmed the identity of the owner of the pills. The pills are indeed related to this young man. Tiandao sect. We can get closer to them after the auction. Many of the family heads below the stage made up their minds. I see. Mr. Gua is qualified to bid for this mansion. However, 10 million high-grade spirit stones is not enough. 12 million, Wan Nianfei said loudly. Guopao shrugged and called out a bid of 15 million upper spiritual stones with a smile. Boss, there really isn't anything in that mansion. We also have a lot of spirit stones. What are you up to? Tong Yuan couldn't help but pull Gua Shuai into the room and whisper to him, to help Brother Liu get more money. Also, to build up the reputation of our Tiandao sect. After so many years, I always feel that something is going to happen. When that time comes, we can use the name of Tiandao sect to win some people's hearts. Guopai said with a smile. Tong Yuan nodded thoughtfully. At this time, Wan Nianfei raised the price again. 18 million high-grade spirit stones. Everyone can continue. However, I have to remind everyone that although this mansion belongs to Taoist Tong Yuan, no one knows if there is anything inside. Even if you buy it, it is uncertain if you can open it, Wan Nianfei said with a smile. The head of the Lu family and the others looked at each other and nodded slightly. 18 million upper-grade spiritual stones was already beyond the range of what they could accept. Ding Shiyu glanced at the crowd and struck the wooden hammer. Immortal Tong Yuan's mansion went to Wan Nianfei and Bei Shinren for 180,000 upper-level spiritual stones. Wan Nianfei and Bei Shinren smiled and nodded at the crowd. They had to go to the auction house to trade for the mansion. When the time came, the Ding clan would send someone to bring them to the mansion. At that time, the transaction would be considered complete. Following that, a few other good items were auctioned off. However, Guopai did not bid. Although the items were good, they were useless to him. There was no need to buy them. I have good news to tell everyone. Just now, we received information about mansion. The next item to be auctioned off is a mansion. Everyone, take a look. Our auction house can't tell which ancestor left this mansion in the East Sea. Therefore, we can't set a base price, Ding Shupei said with a smile and placed a crystal ball on the table. Everyone's gaze once again fell on the crystal ball. It was indeed a mansion, but compared to the mansion of Taoist Tong Yuan, this mansion's appearance was much worse. The only thing that puzzled them was that such a dilapidated mansion was protected by a large formation. Several people who were not weak tried several methods to break the formation, but none of them could. Little girl, let little chap Ding come up. Don't tell me that the few old fellows of your Ding clan found a secluded place and set up a formation to trick us. There's a treasure word on the door. Could it be that there are treasures hidden inside? An old man shouted loudly. Bursts of laughter rang out in the auction hall. At this time, Tong Yuan, who was drinking wine in box 1, coughed violently. He did not swallow the wine. Cough, cough, cough. It can't be so coincidental. Even the treasure pavilion was found by me. BC is so big. Even if I went to look for it myself, I wouldn't be able to find it without a few years of effort, Tong Yuan thought to himself. Then, he quickly sat down beside Guopai. Junior brother, why are you so excited? Could it be that this mansion is also yours? Guopai asked with a smile as he drank the wine. Cough, cough, cough. Boss, could it be that you also noticed it? That's not right. This mansion was built before I ascended 10,000 years ago. You shouldn't recognize it, Guotong Yuan said in a daze. Cough, cough. Junior brother, this is the place you said you hid the treasure back then? It can't be so coincidental, right? Guopai asked softly. Hee hee, what a coincidence. Boss, there aren't many things inside. Back then, when the human race was on the rise, there were the Fushi Zither, Taiji diagram, sea calming pearl, treasurefall coin, eye-piercing pearl, dryness clock, hee hee. Guotong Yuan said with a look of yearning. Holy **T. Junior brother, if you had those things, would you have been smashed into smithereens by the heavenly Thunder Nine Wrath? Guopai asked in disbelief. I don't have those things. However, back then, I was fortunate enough to have seen some of them. I made some pirated versions of them and placed them in the treasure pavilion. Even though their strength is not even 1,000th of those treasures, they're still rare treasures for us right now, Guotong Yuan said with a chuckle. Oh, seems like I've underestimated you, junior brother. To think that you were so good at crafting weapons back then. Bid for it. We must bid for this mansion. Guopai said with a smile. We have a lot of people now, but the magic treasures we have are limited. If we can open your treasure pavilion, it will solve our urgent needs. Of course, if you need these things when you ascend, I will think of a way for you. Boss, are you looking down on me? After following you in the human world for a few years, I've thought it through. It doesn't matter if I ascend or not. Life in the human world is much more comfortable than in the heaven realm. After the treasure pavilion is opened, these things will belong to you, boss. You can arrange them however you want, Guotong Yuan said with a smile. It's an unknown mansion. It seems that the people from Fuzhong outside are in luck. Just as the auction was about to start, Su Sai returned. Not only was he alone, but there were also a few old men. Their strength was already at the peak of the Gold Core realm. When they appeared together, the auction site suddenly quieted down. I don't know who Guopai is. After the auction is over, our Fuzhong would like to have a chat with you, the old man said loudly as his eyes fell on box number 1. After the auction is over, I will look for your Fuzhong. Everyone is waiting to bid for the mansion. You're all standing here. Is it because the people from Fuzhong think that you are better looking than others? Guopai's voice came from box number 1. The old man's face suddenly turned ugly. I hope your strength is as good as your mouth. After the old man finished speaking, he led the disciples of Fuzhong into box number 7. Ding Liu was really nervous when the people from Fuzhong came to the auction. Fortunately, they did not fight at the auction site. The starting price of this mansion is 500,000 upper-grade primordial stones. Each bid must not be less than 10,000 upper-grade primordial stones. Let's get started, Ding Shiyu said with a smile. 1 million. I hope this mansion is not a trick of your auction house, an old man in the front row said with a smile. Old Jai, even if it is a trick of the auction house, is a big project. I'm afraid it is not right for you to ask for 1 million to take it away. Another old man not far from the old man stood up and said loudly, 3 million. The Wu family offers 3 million. As soon as his voice fell, the head of a Zhai family who had just bid turned pale. However, he did not increase the price. If he bid for such a useless mansion again, the family would definitely not agree. The Wu family offers 3 million upper-grade spirit stones. Is there a higher bid? If not, this mansion belongs to the Wu family. 5 million upper-grade spirit stones. 5 million upper-grade spirit stones. Chapter 522. Two voices rang out at the same time. The people in the auction venue were stunned at first. Then they laughed with the attitude of watching a good show. However, the Ding sisters on the stage were indeed in a bit of a dilemma. For so many years, it seemed that such a thing had never happened before. Two people shouted the same price at the same time. 6 million. I'll pay 6 million. Our Fu school doesn't lack this. An old man from Fu school shouted. 7 million. This young master has a habit of buying things that he likes. Otherwise, he won't be able to sleep well at night. Guopai said with a smile. Boy, it's good to have some pride when you're young, but sometimes this pride will make the young people pay a big price. 8 million. The old man squinted his eyes and looked at Guapai outside the first box and said loudly, Old man, when you're old and stay at home, you can eat fish and meat. Some hard bones may not be suitable for you. Don't lose a few of your front teeth before you can chew the bones. At that time, don't talk about eating fish and meat. I'm afraid you'll be unable to speak. Guapai said with a smile. The old man from Fu School was livid. He was about to get angry, but Susai reached out and stopped him. 9 million. Our Fu School offers 9 million. The old man from Fu School shouted again. 10 million. The mansion of Taoist Tong Yuan was sold at a high price of 18 million. I think this mansion should be good. Guapai said loudly. Guapai's words made the auction venue burst into laughter. It seemed that this young man didn't know much about the situation in EC. Many anonymous mansions were discovered every year, but generally, there was nothing good in them. For so many years, no one had heard of anyone getting anything good from an anonymous mansion. Kid, 15 million. If you want it, then continue. The old man from Fortune's sect roared again. However, Guapau's second sentence almost made the old man vomit blood in anger. You're really a fool with a lot of money. 15 million upper-grade spirit stones to buy an anonymous mansion with a formation outside. I really don't know if you're from Fu School or not. How can you squander the money of your school like this? Haha, this mansion is yours. Guapai laughed and said. Then, he walked into the private room. The faces of Fu Zong and the others changed. They were fooled by this brat again. Senior from the Fu Zong, this unknown mansion belongs to your Fu Zong for 15 million upper-level spirit stones. Do you want to go to the mansion now, or wait until the auction is over? Ding Shuyu asked softly. After the auction is over, I will return all the spirit stones to your auction house. When the time comes, you can send someone to bring us to the unknown mansion to have a look. I hope it is not your auction house's doing, the old man said loudly with a threatening tone. Seniors from Fu Zong will know what's going on when we take a look at the mansion. We'd better trouble the people from Fu Zong to prepare the spirit stones first. You should know the rules of our auction house very well. Ding Shupei looked at the people from Fu Zong and said unhappily, Shupei, let's continue the auction. 15 million upper-grade spirit stones is not a big sum for Fu Zong. Ding Luiyu tried to smooth things over. Ding Shupei nodded slightly. Backstage, he brought an exquisite wine bottle to the stage. Ding Shiyu opened one of the 10 wine bottles directly. Several old men in the front row stood up abruptly. The aroma of wine. Yes, it was the aroma of wine. They could not afford the mansion or the expensive items. It was not a crime to ask for a sip of wine, was it? These old men who had not bought anything all this time thought to themselves. The aroma of the wine, just now, was quite strong. The few old men in the front row have already smelled it. We won't explain much. 10 bottles, 2 bottles in a group. The starting price is 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones. Friends who want to try this world's best wine can bid for it, Ding Shiyu said with a smile. However, the starting price of 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones made many people give up the idea of bidding for it. 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones? Why not just rob? 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones were enough to buy a decent magic weapon. Little girl, do you think that the wine that your auction house is auctioning this time is the wine from the Heavenly Queen Mother's Feast of Peaches? With such a high starting price, I think that old man Ding is crazy about money, an old man said loudly. I'll try it first. I won't bid for this bottle of wine. Little girl, it's not that I don't want to pay. When these bottles are auctioned off, I'll pay you according to the highest price. I just don't want to compete with a group of common people. As long as the wine is good and I don't have enough money, I'll give old Ding the treasures he liked before. An old man with a red nose flashed by. 2 bottles of wine were missing from the stage, but no one said anything. Compared to Jiang Tuanhai, the drunkard was a person who could not be provoked in the EC. If Jiang Tuanhai was strong, the drunkard was stronger. Moreover, he was unreasonable. Drunkard, you're drunk. Tell me, what do you think of the wine? Is it worth 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones? The crowd could not help but ask when they saw the drunkard lying on the beam of the auction hall and drinking a big mouthful of wine. Is it worth 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones? Why should I tell you? Haha, is it worth it or not? That's an interesting question. Haha, the drunkard said and drank another big mouthful. However, the crowd did not know what the drunkard was thinking. Let's not talk about the price of the wine and whether he could afford it. He was afraid that he would never be able to drink such good wine again. The more he thought about it, the more uncomfortable he felt. 150,000 upper-grade spirit stones. If the drunkard can drink several mouthfuls, I think this wine should be worth that price, an old man said loudly. Brother Loyu, there's something I forgot to tell you. Your body is not bad, so you can't feel the magical effect of this wine. If there are people in the auction house who can't get rid of the Een poison in their body, or people who are troubled by the cold, you can let them buy a few bottles. I'll put a lot of good things in this wine, huh? Guopai directly told Ding Luoyu through his sound transmission. Ding Luoyu almost fell off his seat. Brother, why didn't you say so earlier? The value of this wine is probably comparable to that of elixirs. 300,000 upper-grade spirit stones. I'm willing to pay 300,000 upper-grade spirit stones. I don't represent the auction house. You don't have to look at me like that. I'm off today, so I'll participate in the auction like all of you. Do you have any objections? Ding Rulong, the second elder of the auction house, said with a smile. Some people who wanted to take advantage of this opportunity sat down obediently. Most people did not want to offend Ding Rulong. Although he was only in the gold core stage, he was the daredevil of Donghai. Not everyone dared to offend him. It was also because he fought too fiercely in the past that the Een poison in his body had not been removed. Ding Liu told him through a sound transmission that he could buy some wine to try. 300,000 upper-grade spirit stones. If there are no more bids, this is Uncle Long's. I'll have to trouble Uncle Long to pass the money to the backstage. The wine will be sent to you later, Ding Shiyu said with a smile. Just deduct the money from my salary. Hurry up and bring the wine over. The waiter on the stage ran over and handed 2 bottles of wine to Ding Rulong. Brat, I hope this wine is as good as you said. Otherwise, I won't pay a single cent of these 300,000 upper-grade spirit stones. Ding Rulong thought to himself. However, after taking a sip of the wine, Ding Rulong, who was originally sitting, suddenly stood up. Loyu, stop bidding for this wine. Take it off the shelves, Ding Rulong said loudly. The entire auction house fell silent. Rulong, this is against the rules. You've already won 2 bottles. Do you want to take the rest for yourself? The auction house must finish the rest of the wine. Bei Shinren, who had already settled the matters in the mansion, came in and said loudly. Everyone nodded. It seemed that this wine was good. It would be inappropriate for the auction house to take it off the shelves. Rulong, you're lucky to have 2 bottles. Don't be too greedy. Can't you see that I only won 2 bottles? Huh. The drunkard laughed loudly. Ding Rulong wanted to say something, but he shook his head gently and walked out of the auction house with the 2 bottles of wine. Chapter 523. The starting price for the 3rd bottle of wine is 100,000 upper-level spirit stones. Let's begin, Ding Shiyu said softly. 300,000. I'll pay 300,000. Let's see what's so special about this wine that it can make the second elder of the Ding family so excited, an old man said with a smile. I could drink it with 300,000 upper-level spirit stones, but I can't drink it now. 350,000 upper-level spirit stones. I don't want to miss it. Another old man stood up and said. He took a deep breath in the air, as if he wanted to smell the wine in the air. Old Du, 300,000 upper-level spirit stones is not a small amount for your Du family. Don't you want to greet your daughter-in-law? Ha! A middle-aged man said loudly with a smile. The old man, just now, was the former head of the Du family. Many people in Donghai knew him. They also knew that his eldest son, the current head of the Du family, had married a powerful daughter-in-law. Now his daughter-in-law basically had the final say in the Du family. Old man Du's face flushed red at the middle-aged man's words, but what the middle-aged man said was indeed the truth, so he could not say anything. 300,000 high-grade spirit stones was not a large sum of money to their Du family, but being squeezed like this really made him very uncomfortable. 500,000 upper-level spirit stones. If Du Wuzhuang wants to drink some wine, no one in the Du family dares to say no, the old man said angrily. The middle-aged man saw that the old man was a little angry, so he did not say anything. After all, it was not wise to anger a master of the Golden Core Realm. 500,000 upper-level spirit stones. Is there anything higher than that? Ding Shiyu said with a smile. 500,000 upper-level spirit stones for 2 bottles of wine was considered a high price in the history of Donghai auction. 500,000 upper-level spirit stones. Old Du, please go backstage and settle the bill. This wine is yours, Ding Shupei said with a smile. Give me the wine first. Here's the money. You could deduct it directly. Du Wuzhuang said, and threw a bag of money to an auction assistant. The young man took the Chinquin bag and quickly ran backstage. Old Du, hurry up and drink. Don't let your daughter-in-law return the wine when she comes. Ha. A few old men who had a good relationship with Du Wuzhuang said with a smile. Du Wuzhuang didn't get angry. He picked up the bottle and drank a mouthful. After that, he stood up and looked at the other bottles on the stage. After that, he shook his head. This group of people didn't know what old Du meant. Let's go. I didn't expect there to be such good wine in the human world. Who was the one who said that this wine could only be found in heaven? Old Du walked out crazily, his hand holding the wine bottle tightly. Old Du can't afford so much fine wine. Let me give you a word of advice. This wine is hard to come by. If you miss this opportunity, I'm afraid you won't be able to drink it again in the future. I'm so lucky that old Du only spent 500,000 upper-grade spirit stones to get it. Du Wuzhuang's last words stunned the few old men who had a good relationship with old Du. What was this old Du saying crazily? Old Lu, since when did old man Du become an auctioneer? Buying 2 bottles of wine for 500,000 is a huge bargain. If you guys want to buy it, then buy it. In any case, I'm not buying it. An old man who was lying on his seat said leisurely. The 4th bottle of fine wine had already been auctioned. Because of Du Wuzhuang's words, regardless of whether it was true or not, the price of the wine suddenly increased a lot. The old man from Fortune's sect directly shouted a high price of 500,000 upper-grade spirit stones for the 4th bottle. However, Guopai wasn't the only one who didn't buy Fortune's sect. Guopai then shouted a bid of 550,000 upper-grade spirit stones for the 4th bottle of fine wine. Old Bei, let me have a taste. If it's good, I'll buy a bottle later. Wan Yinfei smiled and didn't hold back. He took the bottle in his hand and directly poured a mouthful of wine into his mouth. Wan Yinfei, this bottle of wine is yours. You could buy another bottle. Just give me a bottle for each bottle, Bei Xinren said with narrowed eyes. However, Wan Yinfei didn't seem to buy it. He directly threw the bottle in his hand to Bei Xinren. I only drink a mouthful. I'll return your bottle to you. At most, I'll let you drink another mouthful later. Don't tell me you want to use half a bottle to exchange for 1 bottle of mine, Wan Yinfei said loudly. At this time, the bidding for the 5th bottle of fine wine had already started. After 3 bids, the price had reached 650,000 upper-grade spirit stones. 800,000. I'll buy a bottle for 800,000. Wan Yinfei, an old man who was already over 300 years old, stood up and said loudly with a trace of wretchedness and anticipation. 800,000. The 5th bottle was bought by Wan Yinfei. At this time, everyone in the auction finally understood that this wine was definitely a fine wine. The 6th bottle was bought by the people from Fuzhong at a price of 900,000 upper-grade spirit stones. The 7th bottle was also bought by a few old men at a price of 900,000 upper-grade spirit stones. However, because one of the old men had an een injury on his body and shouted after drinking the wine, his een injury was alleviated by a lot. This allowed the 8th bottle to be sold at a price of 1 million upper-grade spirit stones. In the end, the last 2 bottles were bought at a price of 1,200,000 and 1,500,000. Bad brother, we don't even dare to drink this wine anymore. We didn't expect it to be sold at such a sky-high price. This is even more spirit stones than discovering a spirit stone mine. Qin Wui said softly. Lei Ao was completely stunned by the final price of 1,500,000 upper-grade spirit stones. He could only nod his head. It's really strange. You said that during the auction of the mansion, the young man from Tiandao sect was able to call out a sky-high price of 15 million upper-grade spirit stones. However, in front of this fine wine, there was no movement at all. It's really strange. An old man who bought the wine together said with a smile as he drank the wine. What can a young man know? He naturally doesn't know the value of this fine wine. When the old man from Fuzhong heard someone talking about Guopai, he couldn't help but add fuel to the fire. Xiong-san, do you think that old man from Fuzhong is the retard that Chunjiadi and the others always talk about? Later on, let's do them a favor and let them go to Master Bad's Bugyaku to take a look. It wasn't Chunjiadi who said that Master Bad was fiddling with some retard fans. Perhaps it might be able to cure his illness. Lang Lu said softly, but the old man from Fuzhong heard it clearly. Lao Lu, lower your voice. Retard is a curse word. Didn't you see that Little Miss kept saying that the old woman was a retard when she was looking at Ma Rong's mother's Weibo recently? Could it be that a powerful sect like Fuzhong is the same as that retard old woman? Xiong-san's words almost made the old man from Fuzhong vomit blood. Susai couldn't help but stand up. A few spirit beasts that have just transformed. It seems that selling you directly last time was too cheap for you. After the auction is over, I will definitely beat you back to your original forms. Susai said loudly. The one called Susai. Let me tell you why my brother said that your old man is a retard. Huda couldn't help but shout at the people from Fuzhong. You don't understand wine? You're indeed retards. This wine is my bad wine. Why don't we snatch it? Tell me, are you all retards? Huda's words were like thunder in the auction hall. This wine was also provided by a youth from the Heavenly Tao sect. Just what kind of sect was this Heavenly Tao sect? They had to be on good terms with this Heavenly Tao sect. Since the words have already come to this, I also have a few words to say to everyone. Guopai came out from the box again at this time. Brother Luoyu, I will take a few minutes of the auction. I will help the second elder deal with his internal injuries after the auction is over. Take it as a reward for taking up your time. Guopai said with a smile. Everyone in the auction was speechless. This youth was actually a medical cultivator, and a powerful one at that. This junior has just arrived in the East China Sea. I didn't expect to make any noise in the East China Sea. But because my daughter had an accident when she was playing in the East China Sea, I had the opportunity to meet everyone. Guopai said with a smile. Everyone should be able to see that my Tiandao sect and Fuzhong have some conflicts. Yes, we have conflicts, and the conflicts are not small. This junior doesn't ask you to help this junior. I only hope that everyone can be a bystander when the time comes. As a thank you, after I deal with Fuzhong, I will set up a medical clinic in the auction house. If anyone has any hidden injuries, this junior will do his best to treat them. Kid, you're openly provoking our Fuzhong. This junior is provoking you. Shouldn't we settle our accounts? Chapter 5:24. Everyone saw that both sides were not giving in to each other, but because of Guopai's words just now, the people in the auction venue were not prepared to intervene in this matter. A big sect in EC and a mysterious medical cultivator. No one wanted to intervene and offend these two groups of people. Kid, just you wait. After the auction is over, we will settle our accounts. The old man from Fuzhong squinted at Guopai and said loudly, Beauty, what other auction items are there? Hurry up and auction them. Can't you see that everyone is very busy? A middle-aged man smiled and said, Brother Guopai, EC Chen family is willing to be on good terms with Tiandao sect. This time, Chen family will not intervene in the conflict between you and Fuzhong. However, if any family wants to help Fuzhong, Chen family will help you block them for a while. Chen family. That's right, Chen family, ranked 5th in EC, had directly expressed their stance. He wanted to publicly support the medical cultivator from Tiandao sect in front of him. However, it was understandable. Some of the open and covert struggles between Chen family and Fuzhong were not a secret in EC. Then I thank Brother Chen first. Take this elixir first. After dealing with Fuzong, I will go to Chun family to visit Brother Chun. Guo Pai said, and a jade bottle flew to Chun Yinzhou. The latter smiled and received it. Fuzong's face turned even uglier. Brother Luoyu, I have delayed your auction again. Here is 100 jeans of good wine. Consider it my compensation to your auction house. Guo Pai threw a gourd to Ding Luoyu. In fact, Guo Pai and the auction house were already allies. It was not too much to give something to his allies. Ding Liu directly took the wine gourd and nodded to Guo Pai with a smile. He was worried about how to ask Bad Brother for some good wine for his father. He did not expect Bad Brother to directly give him 100 jeans. Tiandao sect, you can hand it over. The auction continued. The hundreds of items auctioned in the afternoon progressed very quickly, and the prices were not low. Guo Pai once again bid for a few magic weapons that could be distributed to Dazhu and the others. Fuzong did not add to the chaos. Fuzong also bid for a few items in the end. However, as the auction progressed, the atmosphere of the entire auction became somewhat strange. Everyone's eyes were all focused on Guo Pai and Fuzong. Old One, who do you think has a higher chance of winning if that young man and the group of people from the Fu sect fight? The leader of the Fu sect should be Su Kuang, who is already at the peak of the gold core stage. If he didn't deliberately suppress his strength, he should be able to break through the nascent soul stage and enter the out-of-body stage. His strength is not weak, Bei Shinran said with a smile. Old Bei, if you didn't suppress your strength, could you have already ascended to the heaven realm? Wan Yinfei did not answer Bei Shinran's question. Instead, he asked Bei Shinran jokingly. Bei Shinran did not answer. His eyes fell on Guo Pai. They were both at the peak of the gold core stage, but Bei Shinran felt unfathomable. Bei Shinran could not understand what kind of fortuitous encounter such a young man had, or how many elixirs he had to take to reach such a stage. Aside, this Guo Pai is not weak. Although he is at the same stage as you and I, according to what you said that day, he can defeat you without using a magic weapon. If I fight with him one-on-one, I may not be able to gain the upper hand. When the battle starts, run back to the Fu sect's elder mansion and call for help. Be sure to keep them in the East Sea. Otherwise, I'm afraid our Fu sect will be in trouble, Su Kuang told Su Sai. Su Sai looked at the group of people around Guo Pai. There were 6 experts at the transformation stage. If she did not successfully sneak attack with a magic weapon that day, she may not be able to capture them so easily. She looked at Zhu and Kong Fei. Although they were only at the fasting stage, they gave Su Sai an uncomfortable feeling. It seemed that they were also good at fighting. In addition, there was also Guotong Yuan, whom she could not see through. Su Sai also understood why the third elder Su Kuang was so cautious. The last item to be auctioned today is also from the source of the East Sea. This is a stone tablet with words engraved on it, but our auction house's people can't recognize what is written on it. It may be a recording stone tablet, but it may also be a recording of attack methods. As the last item of the auction, we are prepared to give everyone a benefit. We have copied all the words on the stone tablet. Everyone can take a look at it together. The stone tablet will also be auctioned at a low price later, Ding Shiyu said with a smile. A group of people looked at the big screen in the auction venue. However, after about 5 minutes, everyone shook their heads. Could the messy things displayed on the big screen be called words? No wonder the auction house shared it with everyone. It was too deceitful. Girl, tell me the price of this stone tablet. If it is cheap, this old man will buy it directly as a stepping stone. Don't waste everyone's time. The head of the Zheng family said with a smile. This time, no one sang a different tune. A fight was about to break out, and the auction house finally came up with such a broken stone as the finale. Could it be that the auction house wanted to make another profit? However, at this time, everyone knew what the expressionless Guo Pai was thinking. If someone knew, they would probably use the power of the East Sea to snatch this stone tablet. The good and evil stone tablet. How could the good and evil stone tablet appear in the mortal world? It is said that when Goddess Niwa completed the Path of Merit, she obtained a stone tablet called the Good and Evil Stone Tablet. There was an extremely powerful immortal art on it called Good and Evil Karma. Later, for some unknown reason, the Good and Evil Stone tablet disappeared. I didn't expect to find this thing in the mortal world. Guopai was wild with joy and secretly calculated in his heart. If it were not for the experience of being in charge of the heavenly book, Guopai would not have recognized this stone tablet as the lost good and evil stone tablet. This was because Guopai did not know all the inscriptions on it. Back then, he was lucky enough to send wine to Goddess Nuwa and learn some things about the inscriptions on the good and evil stone tablet. That was how he recognized the last item of this auction. It was a priceless treasure, the good and evil stone tablet. The starting price of this stone tablet is 1,000 upper-grade spirit stones. If anyone wants to buy it, you can bid now, Ding Shuyu said softly with a slightly red face. 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones. Hurry up if you want to bid. If not, don't delay my business. Guopai stood up and shouted loudly. A group of people once again looked at Guopai. This young man was not short of money to bid 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones for a rubbish stone tablet. 100,000. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? Ding Shuyu asked politely. Guopai's heart skipped a beat. Beauty, please stop bidding. What if someone else bids again? Do you want me to continue bidding or not? Shuyu, don't bid 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones. Just give this stone tablet to bad guy. This auction is over. Everyone can leave now. Ding Liu stood on the stage and said loudly. This time, no one objected. Guopai nodded at Ding Liu. He was not in a hurry to take the stone tablet. If he took it now, some people might notice something. It was not too late to deal with the matter of Fuzong first. Guopai looked at Futaba, who had entered the transformation stage, and nodded at Guotan Yuan. Guotan Yuan did not need to participate in the Battle of Fuzong for the time being. Guopai led the 6 people of Huda, Dezhu, and Kong Fei and flew out. The little girl wanted to follow, but Guotan Yuan held her in his arms. Little Ming Ming, stay here. This battle between Boss and those bad guys is not going to be easy. Don't distract Boss, Guotan Yuan said softly. Little Ming Ming nodded and sat on the stool in the box obediently. At this time, the people of Fuzong also flew out of the auction venue. Huda, set up the formation. You guys stop Su Sai. Bully him in the same way he bullied you last time. Dazhu, Kong Fei, stop the others. If they dare to resist, kill them. Chapter 525. After Guopai finished speaking, he quickly set up several large arrays in the void. At this time, Su Kuang, the 3rd elder of Fuzong, flew out of the auction venue. Su family old thief, you're flying so fast. Are you trying to escape? Guopai shouted at Su Hu. The rest of Fuzong had already scattered in several directions. Boy, today I will make you pay for what you said and what you did today. Su Kuang said, and a long sword appeared in his hand. A strong aura came from the blade. Guopai did not dare to be careless. He held the pirated sky flipping seal that he had refined in the past and directly faced him. Dezhu, there are 4 people. Let's each take 2. Find a way to chase them together. As soon as his voice fell, Kong Fei's speed increased by a notch. He blocked the 2 disciples of Fuzong who had fled separately. A fasting stage cultivator was more than enough to deal with an enlightening stage cultivator. 6 big guys, get out of my way. Have you forgotten that I captured you a few days ago? Su Sai looked at the 6 people surrounding her and couldn't help but shout. Today we will take revenge for the humiliation of that day. After Huda finished speaking, the several big men looked at each other. After being together for so many years, they naturally understood the meaning of this look. Su Sai felt the pressure around her body double. The 6 big men had actually laid down an array formation surrounding her. Following that, the members of several major clans in the Eastern Sea came out of the auction venue one after another. The Chen family's patriarch brought several of his family's disciples and flew into the void. The other clans that were more presentable sat on the mountain and watched the 2 sides fight in the void. This young man's strength is not weak. If Su Kuang doesn't release his suppressed strength, he won't be a match for this young man at the peak of Gold Core stage. Bei Shinran said with a smile. Those two big guys over there, if they suppress my strength to the fasting stage, it won't be easy for me to win. The younger one is easy to deal with. Look at that guy. Every move is fatal. It's all killing moves. Wan Yinfei said, pointing at Zhu and Kong Fei. The six big guys besieging Su Sai are also not simple. They're only in the metamorphosis stage, but they are only in the fasting stage. The six of them besieging Su Sai, a peak Jindan stage expert, are actually not at a disadvantage. Several old men looked at the six of them and discussed. Brat, your Tiandao sect is going too far. After dodging Wapai's sky-flipping seal, Su Kuang saw that the four Fu sect disciples had been captured by Shui Dezhu and Kong Fei. He couldn't help but shout at Wapai, "You've gone too far. Su Sai captured my daughter and the six spiritual beasts of my family and sold them to the auction house in the EC. Why aren't you saying that I've gone too far?" East Sea Fu Zone, don't think that I don't know who you are. Even Su Fu had to be courteous to my heavenly Dao sect's old ancestor. Just a few of you who did something wrong and didn't apologize. Do you think you're in the right? Today, I'm going to shed all pretense of cordiality with your Fu Zone. Originally, the people of Donghai had more or less heard about the conflict between Guopao and Fu Zone. Now, they completely understood why the young man in front of them was so angry. Wasn't it the most hated thing for cultivators to lay hands on their own relatives? Su Sai, I will raise my strength to the nascent soul stage in a while. I will help you break the big formation. Don't worry about us. Go to Fu Sect and ask the people of the Elder's Mansion. These people have completely formed a grudge with our Fu Sect. Su Kuang told Su Sai. The latter looked at Su Kuang and nodded gently. Guopai also saw Su Sai and Su Kuang looking at each other. He couldn't help but feel a little worried. After fighting with Su Kuang for so long, he could naturally feel that Su Kuang's strength was not at his current level. Although his strength was not at this level, Guopai couldn't be like Su Kuang and dare to fight with all his strength. Brat, I didn't want to kill you. You asked for it. I'll let you see what the strength of the third elder of Fu Sect is. Tiandao Sect. I have never heard of such a sect in Huaxia. Su Kuang said. His own realm directly broke through to the gold core stage. A round nascent soul appeared in his dantian. Then, the nascent soul directly left his body. This meant that Su Kuang's strength was at least at the peak of the nascent soul stage. As long as he wanted, he could enter the out-of-body stage at any time. It turns out that you still have a trump card. Nascent soul stage, not bad. This kind of strength is a bit troublesome. Guopai said softly, expressionless. If he was only facing a master of the nascent soul stage, Guopai could still fight with a magic weapon on him. But now he was worried about whether Su Kuang would save Su Sai. If the two joined forces, the formation laid by the six people of Huda would be broken. It would be difficult to keep all these people here. I'll sign now, southeast direction. Rush out from the direction of the giant bear. Hurry back to Fu Sect and ask for help. Su Kuang moved. Similar to what Guopai thought, he directly rushed towards Su Sai and the six people of Huda. He directly broke through the originally invulnerable six-beast dragon trapping formation. At that moment, Su Sai directly ran out. Boy, don't tell me you still want to fight 1 against 2? You have to pass through me first. After saying that, Su Kuang's speed was many times faster than before. He directly blocked Guopai's path. Huda, do your best. If you can't, then forget it. Guopai said loudly. He once again fought with Su Kuang. Boss, this guy's speed is too fast. We can't catch up. Xiongxin couldn't help but say, Chase, if we can't stop this Su Sai this time, we won't have the face to follow boss. We'll just go back to Firecloud Island. Huda said. He directly burned his blood essence, increasing his speed. However, seeing that Su Kuang was about to escape the range of the auction house's influence, the spectators couldn't help but shake their heads. It was basically impossible to stop Su Sai. Just when everyone was sighing for Huda and the others, a golden light flashed out of the auction house. It rushed in the direction of Su Sai's escape at an incomparably fast speed. Who is that? His speed is too fast. I'm afraid that even a severed soul expert wouldn't have such speed. When did the auction house have such a person? Bei Shinran was the first to notice the golden light. Huda, I'll go stop that guy. You guys get ready to set up the formation. A handsome golden-haired young man shouted at Huda. Huda was stunned. Then, the young man's aura let Huda know who this golden-haired young man was. Harry. Harry had successfully transformed. Who are you? Why are you blocking my path? If you don't want to die, then scram. Otherwise, my Fu sect will not rest until you die. Su Kuang looked at the youth in front of him and shouted, You don't recognize this young master so quickly? When you locked this young master in the cage, it seems that our relationship wasn't bad. Futaba looked at Su Sai and said with a trace of ridicule, You're that little monkey. Su Sai knew who the youth in front of him was. He had guessed correctly. This little monkey had a terrifying bloodline. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to have such ability after transforming. If you don't work for me, then die, Su Sai said and directly rushed towards Futaba. Although Futaba's speed wasn't slow, in terms of strength, he was much weaker than Su Sai. However, at this time, Huda and the others had already caught up and trapped Su Sai in the 6-beast dragon trapping formation again. Little brat, die. Today, I'll let you see my true cultivation. Su Kuang saw that Su Sai was trapped again. He forcibly broke through the divine sense that had been suppressing his strength. Severed soul stage. He directly crossed the out-of-body stage and entered the severed soul stage. Bei Shinran even stood up directly. Su Kuang of Fu sect couldn't have such strength. Demon aura. There's actually demon aura in your body. Could it be that you people of Fu sect are related to the great demon? If so, then this young master doesn't need to keep you alive. Chapter 526. When Su Kuang heard Guopai's words, he was stunned. Great demon? What great demon? Could he be talking about Mr. Dream? But before he could figure it out, his mind suddenly went blank. There was only one thing he wanted to do now, and that was to kill the young man in front of him. Demonic aura. It's the aura of the great demon. You've already been controlled by the great demon. There's no use in keeping you alive. Go to hell. Guopai looked at Su Kuang, who was rushing towards him. The sky-flipping seal in his hand disappeared, and a shiny silver throwing knife appeared. Yes, it was the throwing knife that Li Xuanhuan used to break the heavenly tribulation when he ascended. This was the second time Guopai used this throwing knife. Compared to the first time, he was much more skilled. It directly pierced through Su Kuang's head. Su Kuang is dead. He was killed by Guopai in one move. A spirit-severing expert was actually killed by him in one move. That throwing knife in his hand is definitely not ordinary. Bei Shinran murmured, Cough, cough, cough. It's really exhausting. Just one move, and it almost drained me. Although Guopai was still above the void, his aura was much weaker than before. How could he casually use Li Xuanhuan's famous move? Third Elder. Su Sai naturally saw Su Kuang being killed by Guopai. Looking at Su Kuang's corpse, she was also in a mess. Under the harassment of Futaba, the 6 big guys' cooperation became more and more precise. After about a dozen rounds, Su Sai could no longer hold on and was captured alive by the 6 of them. Fu Zone lost. It settled just like that. The head of the Qin family said softly from afar. Although these people were just the tip of the iceberg of the Fortune sect, they had Su Sai, who was ranked 3rd on the heaven list, and an elder from the elder's residence. Such a lineup was not something that an ordinary family could deal with. However, it was actually dealt with by these few people from the Tiandao sect without much effort. This Tiandao sect was definitely worth their time. At the moment when Su Kuang was killed by Guopai, in a secluded place in the Fortune sect of the East Sea, an old man dressed in light stood up with a ferocious expression. In a secret chamber, several people were kneeling on the ground, trembling. Get up, all of you. The Eastern Sea Auction House owes Fu Zone an unknown mansion. That mansion is definitely not as simple as everyone says it is. You guys think of a way to settle the matter of the mansion first. Don't have anything to do with that Guopai. The old man said in a low voice, Mr. Dream, my son has been captured by Guopai. Shouldn't we rescue him first? A middle-aged man kneeling on the ground could not help but ask. Pa! A large handprint appeared on the middle-aged man's face. You can't complain about being captured if you're not as good as others. Once the mansion is opened, I will think of a way to save Su Sai. The middle-aged man did not speak anymore. This man was called Mr. Dream by everyone. Before the sect master went into seclusion, he said that everyone should listen to this Mr. Dream. Mr. Dream had indeed helped them a lot. Not only did he allow everyone's strength to increase by 1 realm, but the Fortune sect's influence in the Eastern Sea had also been growing in recent years. A group of people retreated from the secret chamber. The old man opened a secret compartment in the secret chamber, and a few more things appeared in his hand. A gloomy feeling was emitted from the things in his hand. If Guopai saw it, he would naturally know what it was. It was an item of extreme mean. It was only recorded in the heavenly book before. Unless it was an item of extreme yang, it could be used against it. During the war between the 3 clans, many people from the human clan and the heaven realm had been harmed by the items of extreme mean. Behave yourself. You're still trying to play tricks after being captured. It seems like we've been too good to you. Su Sai was tied up tightly by Futaba with a special rope. Looking at the small knife in Su Sai's hand that was made of unknown material, it was snatched away by Futaba. Futaba, you're amazing. After transforming, your realm is actually much higher than ours. Tiger Boss and the others looked at the handsome young man in front of them and said with a smile, "That goes without saying. Back then, Master was most optimistic about me. But Master has ascended to the heaven realm. But this time, thanks to Boss for getting that stone. By the way, I have to find the 6th Chinquin rod from this guy." As he spoke, Futaba reached out and took out a gourd from Su Sai. He used his spiritual sense to enter it and found the black rod that was laughed at for a long time at the auction. Take him a Boss. Back then, he dared to lock me in a cage. Let's see how Boss will deal with him. The 7 people brought Su Sai back to the auction house. Kong Fei and Zhu escorted the 4 Fortune sect disciples to an open space in the auction house. "Haha, little brother, you're really good." Bei Shinrin and the others walked over and said with a smile. Su Sai glared fiercely at Guopai and the others. Guopai waved his hand, and Su Sai fell to the ground directly. "I made a fool of myself. I still have 100 genes of good wine here. It won't be easy to divide it among everyone. Friends who got something today, it won't be a problem for everyone to drink 2 mouthfuls. From tomorrow onwards, I'll set up a medical clinic in the auction house. I'll definitely treat some minor illnesses for everyone," Guopai said with a smile. The group nodded. "Little brother, we still have things to do today. We'll go back first. See you tomorrow." The few people tactfully said goodbye to Guopai and left. Guopai smiled and nodded to the crowd. Now, it was time to interrogate the people of Fortune Sect. If they were related to the Great Demon, he would have to ask the few great demon slayers who were idle at home to come. No one disturbed him. Guopai brought the disciples of Fortune Sect to a secret room in the auction house. No matter whether he used the puppet technique or hypnosis, he couldn't find any aura of the great demon from the 5 disciples of Fortune Sect. Guopai didn't dare to be careless. He was afraid that he would kill them directly like before. After working for a few hours, he still didn't get any results. "Boss, they're just small fish in Fortune Sect. Fortune Sect won't tell them some private things. You'd better rest early. Tomorrow, we'll set up a medical clinic. I guess you'll be busy again. I have a free news to tell you. Liu just came over and said that someone from Fortune Sect will come to the auction house in a few days to take away the mansion they bought. You can think about what to do when the time comes." Guo Yuan said with a yawn. "For the next few days, keep an eye on Xiao Mengmeng and Futaba. I think Futaba's strength has improved a lot after he got that stick in his hand. Don't let him cause any trouble again." Guopai exhorted. He couldn't help but go back to rest. "Boss, there are a lot of people outside now. They're all talking about your amazing blade yesterday. Many people have prepared a lot of good things and want to make friends with us." Kong Fei said with a silly smile. "Let's go. We'll be practicing medicine in the East Sea for 3 days. You guys come and help. I think we'll have a tough battle in a few days." Guopai said softly. The demonic aura from Su Kuang made Guopai uneasy. Only a few years had passed in the human world. It seemed that his idea of living happily for 100 years was not so simple. Thank you, Brother Guopai. I'm a rough man. I've been in the East Sea for 300 years. I don't have anything good on me. This sea dragon ginseng is useless to me. I'll give it to you. I hope you'll accept it. A big guy gave Guopai a sea dragon ginseng after Guopai performed acupuncture to detoxify him. Guopai naturally accepted it happily. In the morning, Guopai treated more than 100 people. The injuries of the average person were just hidden injuries caused by the process of fighting. It wasn't difficult to treat them. Guopai gave out a lot of medicinal pills, but the cultivators of the East Sea were also generous. Guopai's harvest was not small. He received a lot of medicinal herbs that could only be found in the East Sea. What? Heavenly Tao, sex, godly doctor? When did such a person appear in the East Sea? I've never heard of him. In a place full of spiritual energy in the southern part of the East Sea, the ghost doctor of the East Sea said with his eyes closed. There are rumors outside. This young man's medical skills are extremely high. He's not much inferior to Ghost Grandpa. A middle-aged man in front of the ghost doctor said softly. Oh, they'll have to go take a look. Peers are enemies, and they're also from the mainland. He's crossing the line a little by doing this. Chapter 5:27. In the next 2 days, Guopai treated more than 100 people every day. He generously gave out all kinds of medicinal pills. Heavenly Tao Sec's reputation was unparalleled in the entire East Sea. Everyone, we have been in the East Sea for some time. I know that there are still many friends who have not been treated. You can go to the inland capital, Bugyaku, to find me. I should be back in a few days. At that time, I will still treat everyone for free. Guopai's voice resounded in the auction house. Those who had been treated nodded. Those who had not been treated could understand. Thinking about it, he did not receive any benefits. Although those who were treated did not come empty-handed, there was no such medical cultivator in the East Sea. Moreover, Guopai had already promised that everyone could go to the imperial capital to find him. It would be rude to say anything now. Mr. Guo, can you treat another person? I came from afar and was delayed for some time. A voice that made everyone frown sounded in everyone's ears. Guopai clearly saw the middle-aged man in the void. According to his appearance, this person in front of him was a kind person. Generally, only doctors or Buddhists would have such a face. However, Guopai felt that there was something wrong with this middle-aged man. Ghost doctor, it's the ghost doctor. It seems like he is here to find trouble. Several middle-aged men not far from Guopai whispered. The ghost doctor was the #1 medical cultivator in the East Sea. Treating one person would harm another. His medical skills were outstanding, and he had no medical ethics. Everyone is here. Brother Zhang, do you think that the conditions I gave you are too harsh? You didn't come to me for treatment and didn't even say anything to the Ghost Doctor Island. The Ghost Doctor looked at Zhang Zhengtian, who had been treated by Guopai, and said with a smile. However, Zhang Zhengtian felt his scalp tingling. After offending this Ghost Doctor, his future in the East Sea would not be good. As a fellow medical cultivator, don't bring out some underhanded methods. Uncle Zhang, step back and take this medicinal pill. As Guopiao spoke, he pushed Zhang Jingtian back a few steps before tossing an emerald green pill to Zhang Jingtian. Then, his gaze landed on the ghost doctor in the air again. You have your rules. My Tiandao sect Bugyaku has my rules. If you are sick, this young master will treat you. If you harm people, don't touch my patients. Otherwise, this young master will not be happy. Guopai narrowed his eyes and said, if he hadn't pushed Zhang Jingtian a few steps back, that colorless and odorless thing that had popped out of the ghost doctor's hand would have landed on Zhang Zhengtian's body. Guopao was certain that that thing was definitely not anything good. Haha, you're really a young hero. You have some skills. However, it seems that you've crossed the line by coming to the East Sea to practice medicine. The ghost doctor smiled as he looked at Guopai. Crossing the border? I came to the Eastern Sea to look for my daughter. My friends from the Eastern Sea have helped me a lot. As a form of repayment, I'm treating them. What's wrong with that? Guopai said with a smile. If Mr. Ghost Doctor wants to compete in medicine, this little one has some time. I'll accept it. Guopai's words made the surrounding people widen their eyes. Previously, Guopai's actions had already convinced most of the people in the Eastern Sea. Now, he directly challenged the Ghost Doctor. Regardless of the outcome, Guopai was already considered a celebrity in the Eastern Sea. Haha, in a few hundred years, you're the first person who dares to arrogantly say the two words compete in medicine to me. Today, I'll let you know how laughable it is for you to compete with me. As he spoke, the Ghost Doctor descended from the sky. The surrounding people took a few steps back, and the Ghost Doctor landed in front of Guopai. Guopai narrowed his eyes as he looked at the Ghost Doctor in front of him. That uncomfortable feeling arose again. Guopai felt that he had felt this feeling somewhere before, but he couldn't explain it clearly. Boss, this guy is a bit strange. The aura on his body is somewhat similar to that of the outbreak of the plague a few days ago. You have to be careful. Guopai transmitted his voice. Suddenly, Guopai's eyes lit up. Yes, it was the aura of the outbreak of the plague. Could this person have something to do with the plague? Kid, since it's a competition in medicine, we have to bet something. If you lose, I want you to stay on my Ghost Doctor Island for a year. Within a year, you have to abide by everything I say. Of course, I won't let you die. At most, I'll let you help me refine pills. The Ghost Doctor said with a smile. Ghost Doctor, your way of doing things is a bit too forceful, Qin Wui said loudly. If he lost, he would have to listen to your orders for a year. This kind of bet was indeed somewhat unacceptable to the crowd. Listen to what I have to say first. If you win, kid, I'm willing to listen to your orders for 3 years. I can do anything, including murder and arson. If you want me to kill Fuzong, I'll go there directly. If you want me to die, I'll die. Do you dare to bet? The Ghost Doctor said with narrowed eyes. In that case, I have no reason not to bet. You let me take such a big advantage. Let's talk about the bet. Guopai said softly. There's no point in saving people. Let's compete in something else. The corner of the Ghost Doctor's mouth revealed a trace of a sneer. I'm only good at saving people and killing people. I have a poison here. If you can make the antidote, you win. How about it? Guopai looked at the small bag in the Ghost Doctor's hand. Through the smell in the air, he could guess what kind of medicinal herbs were inside. However, in such a bet, Guopai was not 100% sure. There are millions of poisons in the world. It was not so easy to get the antidote for all of them. Mr. Gua, I'll take a step back. You can let people take the poison. You can use any method to expel the poison. It's your win. Or as long as you can guarantee that the person who takes the poison doesn't die, it's your win. How about it? The Ghost Doctor said with a trace of pride. Okay, I'll accept the competition. However, I have to prepare first. The medicinal herbs on the sea are not as good as those on land. I need to prepare some medicinal herbs. Guopai said softly. Actually, to Guopai, it was not difficult to win this medical competition. If he really could not decipher the poison, he could take a pill from the old Lord's gourd. No matter how powerful the poison was, it would not take the person's life. In the past, he did not dare to take the pill from the old Lord's gourd. Now that he was at the pinnacle of the Golden Elixir realm, he could control the effects of the pill by taking a few. Mr. Gua, you can choose the time and place. Just call me when you're ready. The Ghost Doctor smiled and said, Little Liu, I missed a few good shows this time. I need to wait for Mr. Gua to make the preparations. I can stay in the auction house for the time being. Since the Ghost Doctor has spoken, our auction house will naturally follow. You can stay in the courtyard that the auction house arranged for you previously. Ding Liu said with a smile. The Ghost Doctor nodded in satisfaction. Seeing the Ghost Doctor leave, the crowd began to bustle again. Thank you, Mr. Gua, for what happened just now, Zhang Jingtian said softly to Guopai as he watched the Ghost Doctor walk away. You're too courteous. He came for me in the first place. Guopai said with a smile. Everyone, I don't know what this Ghost Doctor has to do with you. I suggest that you leave quickly if there's nothing else. The Ghost Doctor's poison methods are definitely beyond your imagination. If anything happens, even Guopai can't guarantee that he can save you. Guopai's words made everyone nod. Not long after, many people had left the auction house. However, none of the people from the large families left. If they missed such an exciting medical battle, they didn't know when they would be able to see it again. Guopai returned to his residence for about 2 hours. He sorted out the things that Wu Xiao from the Eastern Sea had given him over the past 3 days. Guopai received many surprises. Compared to inland, there were many more good things at sea. Guopai carried a palm-sized emerald green coral with him. With this item, although he couldn't say that he was immune to poison, it was much more convenient to deal with this poison expert. Ghost Doctor, tomorrow afternoon. Let's meet at the place where we first met. Chapter 528. Guopai's voice came from above the auction house. Several old fellows who were meditating opened their eyes one after another. A medical battle between two people. One was the most outstanding ghost doctor in East Sea for hundreds of years. The other was the upstart of the mainland, Tiandao Sex Guopai. Two people with outstanding strength competing in a medical battle. Interesting. Guopai flew to the place where the battle was arranged yesterday. At this time, the ghost doctor also flew over. Junior brother, look after Xiao Mengmeng. Dezhu Kong Fei. No matter what happens, don't panic. Fataba, Huda, your perception is stronger than Kong Fei and Dezhu. If you feel any discomfort, I'll leave Dezhu and Kong Fei to you. Guopai finally instructed them. With the arrival of the two main characters, the entire location of the medical battle was filled with people. Their eyes were all focused on Guopai and the ghost doctor. Everyone, I'll say the ugly words first. The poison that I brought today is extremely poisonous. If you're lucky enough to win against Guopai, I'll find a way to detoxify him or the person who took the poison. However, if someone else is poisoned, you all know the rules of the ghost doctor. At that time, don't blame me for falling out with you. The ghost doctor looked at the crowd and said with narrowed eyes. Many people retreated because of the ghost doctor's words. The ghost doctor's poison was definitely the #1 in East Sea. No one wanted to be inexplicably targeted by this guy because the price of detoxification was too high. Don't talk nonsense, let's begin. Guopai said softly. Achi stepped forward and stood in front of Guopai. Guopai shook his head gently and blocked Achi behind him. Bad master, I believe in you. Leave the matter of taking the poison to me. I believe you can save me. Achi looked at Guopai and said softly, a gentleman would die for his bosom friend. Achi didn't say the second sentence. Even if he couldn't be saved after taking the poison, he was willing to lose his life because Guopai called him seventh brother. Okay, Guopai, swear in the name of the man that I won't let anything happen to you. Guopai said softly. Achi nodded fiercely and his eyes fell on the ghost doctor. Mr. Gua has good means to be able to find such a death warrior to test a medicine for you. But it's the same for everyone. This medicine is called Immortal's Tear. According to the current strength of this death warrior, he can at most last for 4 hours. If you can't make the antidote in 4 hours, I will save him. If you don't let me save him after 4 hours, then even the immortals can't save him. The ghost doctor said with a smile, while holding a small jade bottle in his hand. Achi took the jade bottle without thinking and poured the entire bottle of liquid into his mouth. He didn't feel any discomfort, but the faces of the people around him suddenly changed. Achi couldn't see it, but it didn't mean that others couldn't see it. After taking the poison, Achi's face suddenly changed. Achi's face was originally a little black, but after taking the poison for a few breaths, Achi's face changed several colors. Looking at it now, Achi's face looked like it was painted with several barrels of oil. Achi looked at everyone's shocked expression and his gaze fell on his hand. Although he didn't know how his face changed, his hand had already become 7-colored. Achi, calm your mind. Don't use your internal strength. Protect your heart and veins. Don't think about anything else. Guopai softly told Achi. Then an emerald green pill was stuffed into Achi's mouth. Then the throwing knife in his hand directly cut open all the clothes on Achi's upper body. The ghost doctor smiled and looked at Achi, whose upper body was already 7-colored. His complacency was obvious. Guopai's brows were tightly knitted, and he was already holding a long silver needle in his hand. The fairy's tear's toxicity is divided into 4 stages. The first stage is like this. The poisoned person will only change the color of their body, and their body won't feel any discomfort. However, after half an hour, their entire body will be incomparably itchy. Ordinary people will be unable to live or die when they reach the second stage. The ghost doctor said with a smile. Guopai's 3 fingers fell on Aqi's wrist. After about 3 minutes, Guopai lifted his fingers. He could feel that there was a strange energy in Aqi's body that wanted to enter his body through his fingers. Fortunately, he was already prepared. Otherwise, he would have been poisoned. Aqi, endure it. I'm going to apply the needle. After Guopai finished speaking, the long needle in his hand directly pierced into Aqi's arm. The hot feeling from a silver needle made Aqi couldn't help but cry out. However, Aqi clenched his steel teeth. The group of people looked at the man in front of them and sincerely broke out in cold sweat for him. This won't do. Using simple methods to force the poison out is simply impossible. This ghost doctor is actually able to concoct such a poison. Even in the heavenly court, if a Daluo immortal was poisoned by this kind of poison, it would be a troublesome matter. No wonder it's called Fairy's Tear. Guopai secretly said now. Guopai thought in his heart, but his hands didn't stop at all. The silver needles quickly pierced into Aqi's body. The 9 revolving reincarnation needles protected the heart meridians. The ghost door 13 needles stabilized the mind, and even the 9 needles pierced into Aqi's body directly set up a formation. Even so, after an hour, Aqi still couldn't bear it anymore. Itchy, it's too itchy. Bad master, I can't hold it anymore. I really can't hold it anymore. My whole body feels like there are countless insects crawling in my blood vessels. I really can't hold it anymore. Aqi couldn't help but roar loudly. Stabilize your mind and remember every word I'm saying now. This is a mental cultivation method. Put all of your divine sense into this mental cultivation method. Think about your current state. You're at the peak of the fasting stage. You're only a step away from the core formation stage. Your life has just begun. The silver needles in Guopai's hand pierced into Aqi's body one by one. A mental cultivation method was transmitted to Aqi. Yes, I can't die. My life has just begun. Millions of East China Sea death soldiers have made me a success. I can't just say that I'm finished. In the past, I survived thousands of life and death battles. I can't die. This kind of itch is nothing. Bad Master has given me a mental cultivation method. I want to learn this mental cultivation method. When Aqi heard Guopai's words, his mind memorized the mental cultivation method that Guopai had just said. Then Aqi, who originally had a painful expression, suddenly calmed down. Sure enough, he has some means. But so what? Only half of the time has passed. When the 3rd level comes, I don't believe that this big guy can still withstand it. The ghost doctor looked at the calm Aqi and secretly said in his heart. Aqi's perception was very high. In about half an hour, in the meridians that had been completely filled with venom, there was a trace of extremely rare, pure energy that was swimming in Aqi's meridians. Aqi was pleasantly surprised because he could clearly feel that the pure energy was gradually breaking through the last barrier of his fasting stage. If he could break through that invisible barrier, he could enter another realm, the core formation stage. Guopai naturally felt the changes in Aqi. He gently nodded while inserting the needles. He did not misjudge. The big guy in front of him did not disappoint him. Only such a person could quickly comprehend the 100 Deaths Battle the Heavens technique, which was the mental cultivation method that Guopai had given to Aqi. Faster, faster. I'm about to reach the core formation stage. The trace of energy in the meridians finally gathered in the Dantian. Although the entire Dantian was filled with venom, the energy actually faintly gathered into a circle. If it was not a Jinan, what was it? You actually want to break through after being hit by the Immortal's tear. What a fool. Even a fool would not do this. Only a madman would be so crazy. The ghost doctor narrowed her eyes as she looked at Aqi, whose entire body had been pierced with countless silver needles, and said softly with a smile. At this moment, Achi had endured the itch that had lasted for 2 hours, but what welcomed it was indeed a loud roar from Achi, bleeding from the 7 orifices. What happened? Chapter 529. Just as everyone watched Achi preparing to break through the fasting realm and enter the core formation realm, the toxicity of the fairy's tear reached the 3rd stage. Originally, it was just a strange itch in his meridians. With Achi's tenacious will, he could still resist it. But now, with the toxicity of the fairy's tear, Achi was completely unable to withstand it. If you honestly endure the 2nd stage, maybe you may be able to endure the 3rd stage, but you actually want to break through the realm with the 10,000 poisons body. It's really ridiculous. Ghost Doctor said with a hint of ridicule. Everyone did not speak. Their eyes all fell on Guopai's body. Achi was bleeding from his 7 orifices, but what surprised everyone was that in this situation, Guopai was still rapidly inserting and pulling out needles from Achi's body. Achi's body trembled at first, and then several East China Sea experts could see from Achi's eyes that Achi's consciousness was scattered. If he cannot be treated in time, Achi would undoubtedly die. However, Guopai still did not make any other moves. Old friends who are here to watch the show, let me give you a word of advice. It's best to stay away. If the poisonous blood of the myriad poison body splashes on your body, the Ghost Doctor will not be responsible for what happens. The Ghost Doctor said with a smile. Victory was in her hands. That's right. According to the current situation, Guopao would definitely lose. Achi, I know you can hear me. Protect your heart. Believe me. Guopai's sound transmission entered Achi's mind. After tossing and turning for an hour, whenever Guopai was just about to have some clues, the changes in the poison's properties would make Guopai's originally prepared backup plan all messed up. Guopai's sound transmission entered Achi's mind. Although Achi was still the same as before, Guopai could feel that in his heart protected by the silver needle array, Achi was trying hard to keep his spirit up. I know you can't hold it in any longer. Recite to yourself 100 times that I can't die. I must wake up in an hour. Recite to yourself slowly. Guopai once again transmitted a message into Achi's mind. This time, Achi managed to endure for another hour. The Ghost Doctor was stunned. According to his calculations, it was impossible for Achi to make it past the 3rd stage. However, Achi was actually still conscious. Looking at the time, the fairy's tear was about to enter the 4th stage. If he did not make a move, Achi would definitely die, and this medical battle would end. After another hour, Achi was like a corpse. Apart from not lying down, there was not a trace of life in his body. Bei Shinren, Wan Yinfei, and the others shook their heads at the same time. Although Guopai's silver needles were still stuck in Achi's body, they did not believe that Guopai would be able to wake Achi up under such circumstances. Family head, 7th brother is dead. An expert in the fasting period is finished just like that. A middle-aged man behind the Chun family head said softly. Although Achi was the one who tested Guopai's medicine, and although Achi was only one of the Chun family's men of sacrifice, Achi's death still made the Chun family feel somewhat uncomfortable. No, Achi has not completely lost his life. However, I'm afraid that Brother Guo also has no way to reverse the situation. The Chin family head said softly. If Guopai lost, according to the bet, Guopai would have to go to the Ghost Doctor Island for a year. The Chin family would have to go into seclusion for a year. Putting aside the matter of the Ghost Doctor, just Fu Zong alone would make them unable to handle it. Time passed by minute. Guopai used all the detoxification and detoxification methods he had learned in his life on Achi's body. However, there was no progress. Guopai could naturally feel the changes in Achi's body. If there was still no way within 10 minutes, he could only use the elixir in the Laojuan's gourd. Otherwise, Achi would die without a doubt. Almost 4 hours. I have completely figured out the composition of this immortal's tear. Why is it like this? What exactly did I miss? Guopai roared loudly in his heart. After tossing and turning for more than 2 hours, Guopai's mental strength had reached its limit. Mr. Guo, if you don't let this old man take action, This Achi won't be able to save him even if a deity descends to the mortal world. The ghost doctor said with a smile, if a doctor can deal with a body of 10,000 poisons, then what kind of body of 10,000 poisons is it? Body of 10,000 poisons? These four words appeared in Guopai's mind. Although there was no record of the body of 10,000 poisons in the heavenly book, there was a record of the body of 10,000 poisons in the heavenly book. Guopai's eyes suddenly lit up. The body of 10,000 poisons. In the past, the poison demon collected 81 sources of evil and refined his body into the body of 10,000 poisons. The golden immortals did not dare to get close to him. The body of 10,000 poisons was no longer a poisonous body, but an evil body. In the end, an ancient Buddha in the Western Pure Land broke the body of 10,000 poisons with the tears of a newborn baby and sealed the poison demon. Guopai recalled the records of the heavenly book in his mind. Body of 10,000 poisons. I'm afraid it's no longer a poisonous body, but an evil body. Back then, the ancient Buddha used 10,000 drops of the tears of a newborn baby. That was the purest thing in the world. If I were to look for the eyes of a newborn baby now, it wouldn't show. Since it's an evil body, I should be able to deal with it with something of the extreme yang. Guopai thought to himself. Standing up, his gaze landed on a young boy in the auction house 10,000 meters away. Nobody touch, Achi, I'll be back in a jiffy. With that, Guopai flew toward the young boy. Daju, Kong Fei. Everyone, prepare 7 drops of essence blood. Yours truly is going to use it later. Guopai stood up and flew up. Many powerful beings followed suit. Guopai landed beside the young boy, followed by a group of people. The little boy, who was not even 3 years old, was so scared that he peed his pants. Guopai did not waste any of it and collected all the boy's urine into a jade bottle. Little guy, I've scared you. Forget about this pendant. I'll give it to you as an apology. Hee. As Guopai spoke, a 7-colored string bean pendant was hung around the little boy's neck. The child suddenly stopped crying and looked at Guopai with a pair of black eyes. The boy's mother could tell at a glance that the string bean was not an ordinary item. She smiled and nodded at Guopai. Several old men looked at the 7-colored string bean and could not help but smile. This Guopai was really generous. Not only was the string bean's material extraordinary, but each of the 3 beans had a small formation. Such a thing could not be bought without tens of thousands of upper-level spirit stones. However, after a while, the group of people once again followed Guopai back to the place where the medical competition was taking place. Now is not the time to study the pendant. Achi's life was in danger. Bad master, the blood essence has been taken out. What do you need us to do? Daju and Kong Fei stood in front of Guopai and whispered. Guopai did not say much. He directly poured the 2 portions of blood essence into the jade bottle that contained the boy's urine. Then he directly crushed a 9-colored pill and put it into the jade bottle. Achi, believe in me. I will help you to the end. Detoxifying the poison is a small matter. I will help you deal with the injuries of these years. If you can save a divine pill for me, I will still give it to you. Guopai said. He directly opened Achi's closed mouth and poured all the contents of the jade bottle into Achi's mouth. The ghost doctor saw that the last pill that Guopai added was not an ordinary one. He could not help but say, "Humph, you actually gave him such a strong medicine. Even if you can detoxify the poison, he will still die. He can't support such a strong medicine in his current condition. If an expert in the fasting period can't even withstand such a pill, then what kind of fasting period is he? I know what you mean. Isn't it just the 10,000 poison body? I will cure both. First, I will deal with the 10,000 poison body. Achi will naturally not have any problems." Guopai narrowed his eyes and looked at the ghost doctor. That big guy moved. I really didn't expect him to still be alive. It was unknown who shouted. Everyone's eyes fell on Achi again. Achi, calm your mind and break through the fasting period. As for whether you can directly enter the Golden Core realm, it will depend on your own fortune. Chapter 530. Guopai's words caused everyone's eyes to widen. How is this possible? A person who had already been listed on the death list not only had the possibility of living, but could even increase his realm by 2 levels from the fasting stage to the golden core stage. There were quite a few experts in the golden core stage among the crowd. Wanting to enter the golden core stage from the fasting stage was easier said than done. The ghost doctor's gaze was fixed on Achi, seeing the 7 colored patches on Achi's upper body and face slowly fade away. The ghost doctor felt his palms begin to sweat. Impossible. Master had said that there was no way to cure this fairy's tear. The antidote on his body could only prolong this big man's life for a year. Time slowly passed. The 7 colored patches on Achi's body had already completely disappeared. His originally lifeless body was now filled with energy fluctuations. From time to time, a few muffled sounds of thunder could be heard in the sky above the Eastern Sea auction house. How could a golden core stage cultivator not know what this thunder meant? Only when a person entered the golden core stage from the golden core stage would there be waves of muffled thunder. Old Bay, we seem to have guessed wrongly. This youth from the Heavenly Tao sect should be able to deal with the fairy's tear, Wan Yinfei said softly. Bei Shinran smiled and nodded. At this moment, the ghost doctor began to feel a little restless. Ghost doctor, what do you want to do? If you don't want to compete in medicine, we can compete in something else. Guopai smiled and asked the ghost doctor as he saw a trace of black appear on the ghost doctor's fingertips. A silver needle had pierced into the ghost doctor's arm. Don't be happy too early. The fairy's tear will erupt once more, and it will still take this big man's life. The person who loses in the end will still be you. The ghost doctor gritted his teeth and said, We will know who wins and who loses in 10 minutes. I hope that the last eruption you mentioned will really happen. Guopai said softly. However, at this time, the news had already spread to every corner of the auction house. The ghost doctor's poison didn't stump Tiandao, Sex Guopai. This competition should be the ghost doctor's loss. 13 minutes later, the fairy's tear indeed had a huge eruption. However, it was this eruption that completely activated all the effects of the elixir that Guopai had given to Achi, supported by the pure energy of this elixir. Achi opened his eyes. The Jindan had been formed. Achi had truly stepped into the ranks of the strong, a master of the Jindan stage in the human world. Impossible. This is impossible. You couldn't have neutralized Master's poison. You cheated. You must have cheated. When the ghost doctor saw that Achi had woken up, she couldn't help but shout loudly. Then, she suddenly attacked Achi without caring about anything else. The victor has been decided. Ghost doctor, you've lost. Don't tell me you still want to fight. Guopai didn't make a move. Instead, Bei Shinran and Wan Yinfei made a move at the same time, directly blocking the ghost doctor's fist that was about to hit Achi. Old man Bei, Old man Wan, do you dare to interfere in the matters of the Ghost Doctor Island? The ghost doctor shouted at the 2 old men. If you agree to a bet, you must accept your loss. You are from the East Sea. If you had used underhanded means just now, what would our East Sea's face be? Bei Shinran said loudly. Guopai gave the 2 old men a thumbs up. 7th brother, keep this elixir well. Originally, I was going to use this elixir to prolong your life. I didn't expect you to be so good and leave this elixir for me. However, I said at the beginning that the rest of the elixir is still for you. Keep it well. After today's matters are over, I will tell you how to use it. Guopai said with a smile. Achi didn't stand on ceremony and directly took the elixir. At this time, everyone's gaze was focused on Guopai and the ghost doctor. Ghost doctor, you've lost, Guopai said softly with an expressionless face. Being able to finally find a way to cure the poison was Guopai's greatest gain in this medical competition. Of course, if there was an even greater gain, it would be the 2 words that the ghost doctor had just said. Master. Guopai really wanted to know who this ghost doctor's master was. So what if I've lost? Don't tell me you dare to let me follow by your side. If you dare, I will follow by your side. However, you must be prepared to be poisoned at any time. The ghost doctor said with a smile. Everyone disperse. The rest of the matter is a personal grudge between me and the ghost doctor. If anyone needs to see a doctor, go to the capital city of Bugyaku in a month. Guopai will be waiting for everyone in Bugyaku. Guopai didn't answer the ghost doctor's words, but said loudly to the crowd. Originally, there were still a few people who were prepared to watch the show. However, since Guopai had said so, the group didn't stay any longer. They couldn't afford to offend this young man, so it was better to maintain a good relationship with him. Everyone bid farewell to Guopai. Regardless of whether they had gained anything from this auction, they were still quite satisfied to be able to meet someone like Guopai. Bad brother, Achi will follow you from now on. I really didn't expect that Achi would have such an opportunity. In a few days, my Chun family will visit you in the capital city. After the Chun family head finished speaking, he left the auction house with his people. Now, in the entire auction house, only Guopai's group, the few elders that Ding Liu had brought, and the ghost doctor were left. Kid, what do you want? The ghost doctor squinted his eyes and asked Guopai loudly. It was impossible for him to directly escape. Not to mention dealing with Guopai, even if he fought with Achi one-on-one, it would be difficult for him to win. Brother Liu, this trip to the East Sea has disturbed the auction house. However, we can get closer in the future, Guopai said as he hugged Ding Liu in his arms and then pulled Ding Liu to the side. Here are 10 recover pills and 1 9 transformation golden pill. I won't say much about the effect of the recover pill. You can keep this 9 transformation golden pill for when you ascend to the heaven realm. I guarantee that you will get twice the result with half the effort. Don't be in a hurry to thank me. I know that the people of Fu Zone have already contacted your auction house. When they go to the auction house, just let me know. I have a deep grudge with the people of Fu Zone, so I'll leave this matter to you, Guopai whispered. Ding Liu took the pills from Guopai. Refuse? Only a fool would refuse. Bad guy, don't worry. I'll let you know when the time comes. The strength of Fu Zone is not weak. You must be careful, Ding Liu said softly. After seeing Guopai's magical medical skills, Ding Liu had made up his mind to be on good terms with Guopai. Brother Liu, I'll have to disturb you for a few more days at the auction house. The matter between me and the ghost doctor has not been resolved yet. However, you can rest assured that there won't be any trouble. You just have to stay in the courtyard where we lived before. Don't let anyone disturb you. After Guopai finished speaking, Ding Liu nodded. Guopai and the others walked back to their residence with the ghost doctor. Young master, I know that you have a good relationship with Guopai. However, I'm afraid it's not appropriate for them to continue to stay in our auction house, an old man said softly. There are 10 recover pills here. I can't find a reason to refuse him. I'm going to see my grandfather in a while. I'll settle this matter. After Ding Liu finished speaking, he turned and left the place where the medical competition had taken place. In the forbidden area of the Ding family, an old man and a young man sat facing each other. The old man held the 9 transformation golden pill that Guopai had given to Ding Liu. He fiddled with it for a while and smiled at Ding Liu. Grandpa, is this pill really as bad guy said? Is it really useful for ascending to the heaven realm? Ding Liu asked softly. Guopai is not an ordinary person. I'm now at the fusion stage and am only a step away from the tribulation. Now, I can only stay here to avoid the heavenly thunder. With this pill, I won't be far from the tribulation. Make sure to have a good relationship with that Tiandao sect, not only on the surface, but also on a sincere relationship with him. I'm afraid that the future of the Ding family depends on Guopai, the old man said softly. Ding Liu was completely stunned. Only a few people knew that his grandfather was in the forbidden area of the Ding family. His grandfather had forcefully suppressed his strength to avoid the tribulation. He didn't expect that he would have such a high opinion of Guopai. Boss, how should we deal with this ghost doctor? If we keep this guy with us, I'm afraid that something will happen sooner or later. Chapter 531. Guotan Yuan looked at the ghost doctor, who was asking for a beating. He couldn't help but say to Guopai. Guopao turned around, unable to look at the ghost doctor behind him. Her expression was really asking for a beating. A silver needle appeared in Guopao's hand. With lightning speed, he pricked the ghost doctor's hand 9 times. Then, He walked back to his residence with a smug expression. What did you do to me? The ghost doctor looked at Guopai's back in shock and asked loudly. After piercing 9 times with the silver needle, the ghost doctor suddenly found that all the internal strength in his body had disappeared. He was already in the core formation stage. He didn't expect that his internal strength would be sealed. How could he not be shocked? You have to follow me for 3 years. Naturally, I can do anything to you. Don't have any bad ideas. Otherwise, I have many ways to deal with you. Guopai said with a smile. Guotan Yuan raised his eyebrows. Hee, senior brother is mighty. Guopai returned to his residence and thought about the master that the ghost doctor mentioned. It was definitely related to the great demon. Since he was banished to the lower realm, he had directly or indirectly fought with several great demons. Guopai naturally knew the pros and cons. Now that he found the trace of the great demon again, Guopai naturally wanted to find out. The master of poison shouldn't be the blood demon or the dream demon. Could it be the poison demon that was sealed by the ancient Buddha? Guopai said to himself. He couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. If it was really the poison demon, things would be difficult. Although his medical skills were good, he had no chance of winning against the poison demon. Bad Dad, I want to go home. It's not fun here. I miss Mom. Little Meng Meng had been under Guo Tong Yuan's care these days. She stayed in the EC auction house every day. She didn't even have a chance to go into the water. Naturally, she was a little annoyed. Now you know that you're like Mom. Wait for Dad to finish his business in the EC. We will go back. Guopai touched the little girl's head and said with a smile. Then can Bad Daddy take me out to play today? If I have to follow little Uncle Tong Yuan, Meng Meng will go crazy. The little girl said as she fiddled with her hair. Okay. After we finish eating, Dad will take you out for a walk. Guopai said with a smile. Xiao Meng Meng ran outside happily. Guopai also smiled happily. After so many years in the human world, he had such a precious little girl. It could be considered a good karma. He hoped that when he could return to the heavenly realm in 100 years, the little girl could follow him. As for how many descendants he would have in the future, Guopai didn't think about it. He would do his best and follow the will of the heavens. However, after thinking about it, Guopai began to think about a few wives. Guopai shouted for the group to finish eating. He wasn't worried about the ghost doctor. He asked Tiger Da and the others to keep an eye on the ghost doctor while he took Xiao Meng Meng to the sea. After a while, Guopai and Xiao Meng Meng had a good harvest. They made many kinds of pearl mussels. Of course, there were also some extremely beautiful fish. The little girl wanted to bring them back to the imperial capital to raise. Guopai was wondering if he should bring some seawater back. After playing for more than 2 hours, Guopai brought a satisfied Xiao Meng Meng back to the residence. He gave more than 100 pearl mussels to Xiao Meng Meng. These things were enough for Xiao Meng Meng to fiddle with for a while. Now it was time to go and see the ghost doctor. Thinking about it, Guopai set up a formation around Xiao Meng Meng and walked towards the residence where the ghost doctor was locked up. Tiger Da, this guy didn't have any bad ideas, right? Guopai asked Tiger Da with a smile. Boss, these things are given by this guy. He said that they could increase our strength by a lot. However, we didn't use them. He wants us to let him go. Self-righteous guy. Does he think that we Shin beasts are easy to fool? Tiger Da proudly raised his head and said. In his big palm, there was a small pile of medicinal pills. There were more than 30 pills. Tiger Da, take them to eat. That's right. Xiao Meng Meng is fiddling with the pearl mussels outside. You guys keep an eye on her. This little girl is a little violent. Don't cause any trouble. Guopai said with a smile. Tiger Da nodded and led the 5 brothers out of the house. You haven't eaten anything, right? Little Master here has some. Come, Little Master will accompany you to eat and drink. Seeing Big Tiger and the others tie up the ghost doctor, Guopao could not help but laugh. Big Tiger and the others were different from Guotan Yuan. Although Guotan Yuan had sealed the ghost doctor's cultivation base, Big Tiger and the others still carefully tied up the ghost doctor. Eat some. Are you afraid that Little Master will poison you? Guopai said. He picked up a piece of demon tiger jerky and put it into his mouth. Then, he drank a mouthful of wine. A comfortable expression appeared on his face. Kid, you better let me go. We're even now. If you keep me trapped like this, if the old ancestor of Ghost Doctor Island finds out that I'm locked up by you, you're finished. The ghost doctor took a bite of the jerky and said softly to Guapai. However, the ghost doctor was not in the mood to talk. The things that Guapai had prepared were really delicious. Don't look at me like that. Eat your fill first. Then we'll talk slowly, Guapai said with a smile as he watched the ghost doctor wolfing down the food. After about 10 minutes, the ghost doctor's face was glistening with oil. She drank so much that her face was slightly red. She leaned back and looked at Guapai, who was staring at her. She had an expression of a dead pig, not afraid of boiling water. Aha, ghost doctor. Today's immortal tears were not concocted by you. Tell me about the one behind you. I want to meet him, Guapai said with a smile. I don't know what you're talking about. The ghost doctor was stunned and then said softly, a straightforward person doesn't resort to insinuations. I know who the one behind you is. It should be an old friend. Even if you don't say it, I'll go look for him. I'm just surprised why he's in the EC. Guapai said softly, this person is involved in a lot of things. Your little life is not in my hands, but in his hands. Don't you know that you've been poisoned? The ghost doctor looked at Guapai, but in his heart, he once again thought of that person on Ghost Doctor Island. Ever since he appeared on Ghost Doctor Island, in the past 100 years, Ghost Doctor Island jumped from a small sect in the EC to a place that no forces in the EC dared to provoke. Everything was brought about by that person in the EC. Poisoned, I've been poisoned. How could I not know? Guapai, there are some people you can't afford to offend. I know that you've already offended Fu Zone. If you offend our Ghost Doctor Island, then you'll know how sad it will be for you to be attacked by our two forces. The ghost doctor said with narrowed eyes, I just like to offend some people that I can't afford to offend. Today at midnight, feel the changes in your body and see if I'm right. Within 3 days, if you can't detoxify, you'll die miserably. After Guapai finished speaking, he turned and left the room. He casually set up a trap array. With the ghost doctor's current strength, he couldn't break it at all. The ghost doctor watched Guapai walk away and slowly closed his eyes. This young man wasn't simple. He now somewhat believed in Guapai's words. If the master wanted to poison him, he definitely wouldn't have any power to fight back. He could only wait for midnight to feel it himself. Guapai returned to his room. Now, he could basically confirm that the ghost doctor was related to the poison demon that ran amok in the 3 realms. However, according to the rules of the human world, even if he encountered the poison demon, as long as he was careful, there shouldn't be any big trouble. However, thinking about what happened in the human world in the past few years, Guapai couldn't help but laugh. Big shots of the heavenly court, I don't care what kind of chess game you want to play. Since you want yours truly to be your chess piece, you can't give yours truly less when the time comes. Otherwise, don't blame yours truly for making your chess game stink. Guapai secretly thought Ghost Doctor Island, Fu Zone, quickly solved the matter in the EC. This young master should also enjoy the good life of the human world for 100 years. Chapter 532. Early the next morning, Guapai continued to bring good wine and meat to the ghost doctor's room. But the situation shocked him. The ghost doctor was dead without any warning. Guapai once again checked the array he had laid down. There was no trace of it being damaged. Although he was poisoned, the poison was not enough to kill him. Who was the culprit? Guapai checked the ghost doctor's body again, but did not find anything. If someone could kill the ghost doctor right under his nose, then their current situation would be very dangerous. Guotan Yuan and the others saw Guapai coming out of the ghost doctor's residence and went to greet him. Boss, what's with that expression? How was the ghost doctor? Did he not tell you what you wanted to ask him? Let me go and see. Let him try my methods. I don't believe that he won't confess. Guotan Yuan said with a smile. No need to go. The ghost doctor is dead. I have already informed Brother Liu to give him a proper burial. He also walked the path of medicine. Even if he could not become a good doctor, he did not deserve to die, but he followed the wrong person. Guapai shook his head and said, at this time, Ding Liu had already called a few trustworthy disciples in front of Guapai. Bad guy. There are two things I have to tell you. Ding Liu pulled Guopai to the side and said softly, "The people from Fuzhong are here. There are 4 elders, and their strength has all reached the peak of the Gold Core realm. However, they're not here to ask you to let Su Sai go. They're here to ask for the unknown mansion that Su Sai bid for. They should be here soon. Fuzhong is really not a good person. Brother Liu, let's act according to our previous plan. The people from the auction house will take them to find a mansion. Leave the rest to me." Ding Liu said softly. "You said 2 things, what else?" "Ghost Doctor Island. The Ghost Doctor is dead, but there are still tens of thousands of disciples on the island. What should we do with these people? If we spread the news of the Ghost Doctor's death, the Ghost Doctor Island will cause trouble for our auction house, and even go to the Imperial capital to cause trouble for you." Ding Liu said honestly. "First, block the news of the Ghost Doctor's death. After dealing with the people from Fuzhong, I will go to the Ghost Doctor Island to deal with the Ghost Doctor. I will have to trouble you during this time," Guopai said with a smile. "Bad guy, you are too polite. There's another way to anger. Except for the Ghost Doctor, the other people on Ghost Doctor Island." Ding Liu said and made a throat-cutting gesture. "Brother Liu, remember my words. The Ghost Doctor Island is not as simple as you think. Don't go to the Ghost Doctor Island to make trouble. Otherwise, there will be a big mess," Guopai said seriously. Ding Liu was stunned and then nodded. "Young Master, the Ghost Doctor's body has been dealt with. Fuzhong has sent a message, asking us to take them to the unknown mansion as soon as possible." A middle-aged man came from afar and whispered to Ding Liu. Ding Liu and Guopai looked at each other and nodded. Ding Liu followed the big man to the auction house. Su Qing from Fuzhong is very polite. Ding Liu walked to the reception room. An old man from Fuzhong said to him with a smile, "Young Master Ding, my junior brother Su Kuang took Asai and bought an unknown mansion at the auction house. We want to go to the mansion today to have a look and complete the transaction. Young Master Ding, please arrange it." Ding Liu cupped his fists and returned a salute. Then, he nodded to the 4 old men. 4 masters at the peak of the Gold Core realm. Such a lineup was not simple. "Elder Su, why don't we have breakfast at the auction house first? I will go and inform the elders of the auction house. Then, I will send someone to take Elder Su to the location of the mansion. If the mansion is not handed over to Fuzhong, we are also worried that a long night will cause trouble," Ding Liu said with a smile. "Thank you, young Master Ding." After Su Qing finished speaking, the 4 old men walked out of the room. Ding Liu looked at the 4 people walking to the dining room and felt a layer of cold sweat on his forehead. If these 4 guys joined forces, it was definitely not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Pressure. He was actually sweating under their pressure. "5th uncle, 7th uncle, I will leave the matter of taking Fuzhong to the unknown mansion to you. When you arrive at the place, come back quickly. Don't have too much contact with the people of Fuzhong. These 4 guys are not weak. Don't fall into their trap." Ding Liu reminded the 2 elders of the auction house again. "Don't worry. This is not the first time we have done such a thing. They have already paid the spirit stones. We will tell them the location of the mansion. After the transaction is over, there should be no trouble." Ding Liu, the 5th elder of the auction house, said with a smile. Ding Liu nodded gently. Watching the 5th elder and the 7th elder walk away, Ding Liu said a few words to the middle-aged man beside him. The middle-aged man nodded with a smile and flew away from Ding Liu. "Bad guy, there are some things that need to be eliminated. Since you don't want to be the bad guy, let me do it. You go and deal with the matter of Fuzhong. I will find a way to deal with the Ghost Doctor Island. I have already discussed with the old man. I can go to the capital with you for a few days." Ding Liu said secretly in his heart. After the people of Fuzhong finished their breakfast, the 4 of them did not stay any longer. They directly followed the 5th elder and the 7th elder into the depths of the East Sea. Naturally, they did not know that not long after they dived into the sea, Guopao also took Guotongyuan and Mao Tu to the depths of the East Sea. "Fourth uncle, I will take the people of the 36 Shadows to Ghost Doctor Island. I will leave the security of the auction house to you first. Ding Luoyu said with a smile. Little Luoyu, I have no objection to you taking the 36 shadows with you. It is my duty to ensure the security of the auction house. However, can you give me some of the good wine in your gourd? Ding Luoyu said with a smile. Ding Liu did not say much and threw an exquisite wine bottle to Ding Shunyan. Fourth uncle, that's all. Don't push it. I didn't say much. If you want to drink to your heart's content, go to second uncle. He has more. After Ding Luoyu finished speaking, he turned and left. When he appeared at the seaside, there were already 36 black-robed men standing behind him. Everyone knows about the Ghost Doctor Island. This time, the target is very clear. Don't let anyone from the Ghost Doctor Island go. Let's end this quickly. After Ding Liu finished speaking, the group of people boarded a big ship. The big ship quickly sailed towards the location of the Ghost Doctor Island. Young master, you even brought out the ferry boat. It seems that the Patriarch attaches great importance to this. A black-robed man said to Ding Liu with a smile. If you have a good relationship with bad guy, there will be a lot of benefits in the future. Don't let anyone go. Ding Liu said softly. The ferry boat was a magical weapon that he found in the source of the East Sea. When he found it, it was only the size of a palm. However, someone accidentally activated the mechanism, and it turned into its current size. Although it couldn't change back, its speed on the sea was still very frightening. The Ghost Doctor is not here. Now, the strongest person on the Ghost Doctor Island has just entered the core formation stage. We, the 36 Shadows, can deal with these people in half an hour at most. However, you can't blame our auction house. The Ghost Doctor Island has done many more cruel things than us. After the black-robed man finished speaking, he turned and returned to the deck. Ding Liu gently nodded his head. Massacres in the EC happened every year. In the past, the auction house had also been massacred. Thinking about it, Ding Luoyu clenched his fists. Tong Yuan, Fataba, don't follow so closely. Open up a little distance. Don't expose yourself now. Guopai transmitted his voice to the two. Boss, don't worry. I didn't expect to find the treasure room. Hee. Chapter 533. After swimming for almost 5 hours under the sea, the third elder and the seventh elder of the auction house brought the 4 people from Fuzhong to a remote place in the East Sea. The 2 of them pulled a pile of seaweed aside, and a very simple undersea gate appeared in front of everyone. Friends from Fuzhong, this is the entrance to the unknown mansion that Elder Su Kuang bid for. The void gate will appear every 6 hours. Wait a little longer, and you will see the real appearance of this mansion. If there is nothing else, we will go back first, the third elder said with a smile. Wait a minute, we can't see the void gate now. We can't be sure if this mansion is the one that Elder Su Kuang bid for. You should wait for the void gate to appear before leaving. An elder from Fuzhong stepped forward and stopped the 2 of them. Okay, then we will accompany you for a while. The seventh elder of the auction house said softly. The 2 of them distanced themselves from the 4 people from Fuzhong. Experts in the gold core realm could stay at the bottom of the sea for a day without any problem. Let's wait here. After the 2 elders of the auction house leave, we will go over. It is difficult to kill all 4 experts at the peak of the gold core realm at once. If any of them escape, it will cause a lot of trouble for the auction house, Guopai told Tong Yuan and Fataba through voice transmission. 10,000 meters away, the 3 of them restrained their breath to the limit. The 4 people from Fuzhong would not notice that there were 4 people here. Junior brother, are you sure that this cave mansion is the place where you hid the treasure? If not, we have come here in vain, Guopai asked with a smile. Boss, I can only be sure when the void gate appears. When I ascended, I brought the sensing stone of the mansion with me in order to have a backup plan. But the ascension failed, and the sensing stone has long been lost. Otherwise, it would not be so troublesome, Tong Yuan said softly. After waiting for almost an hour, Guopai felt a strange energy rushing towards them from the bottom of the sea. It then rushed towards Fuzhong and the 2 elders of the auction house. Guopai and the rest stared at the position of the mansion. A virtual door with the word treasure flashing on it appeared in front of everyone. Junior apprentice brother, is this your mansion back then? Guopai asked via voice transmission. Yes, I left it in the EC back then. Haha, boss, just wait for a good show. Just this group of people wants to break through the array formation I set up back then? That is simply a pipe dream, Guopai said confidently. Guopai smiled and nodded. Friends from Fuzhong, the mansion has been confirmed. We have to go back and report. The third elder said softly. But just as they were about to leave, a rope made of an unknown material wrapped around the third elder and the seventh elder. What is the meaning of this? The seventh elder asked with a gloomy face. Before bringing the people from Fuzhong to look for the mansion, Ding Liu had told them that Fuzhong was not a kind person. Su Kuang died in the auction house, and they were very likely to turn hostile. They did not expect that they would really turn hostile. Both of you, Elder Su Kuang of Fuzhong, disappeared in your auction house. Asai's whereabouts are still unknown. Now that you have casually found a mansion and said that they bought it, we do not believe it. Naturally, we have to wait until the mansion is opened and see what is inside before we can let you two go. Sorry for the inconvenience. An elder from Fuzhong who had not spoken until now raised his head and looked at the two with a smile. Su Bian, you are Su Bian of Fuzhong, the third elder said loudly. The elder smiled and nodded. Haha, I really did not expect that there are still people in the EC who recognize me. Formation King Su Bian. Since you know that I am Su Bian, you can forget about escaping. I have also set up an array formation on this rope. You can't break it, Su Bian said with a smile. Great elder, don't waste time with them. Mr. Dream wants us to quickly open the mansion. There should be good things inside. Another elder from Fuzhong said softly. Su Bian nodded and walked straight to the front of the door. He placed his palm on the void door and slowly closed his eyes. Junior brother, do it. This array formation was set up by you in the past. You should know best how to break it. Futaba, after Tong Yuan breaks the array, you take the two elders of the auction house and enter the array. Leave the rest to me. Guopao could sense that the magic array on the void gate that was 10,000 meters away had changed when Su Bian placed his palm on it. The longer he delayed, the better it would be for him to strike first. Guopai nodded. The three of them looked at each other. Guopai was the first to rush over. His target was not Su Bian who was breaking the array, but the three people besides Su Bian. The elders of Fuzhong were naturally not easy to deal with. The moment Guopai's aura appeared, the three of them stood with their backs facing each other, forming a formation that could attack and defend. You are Guopai from Tiandao sect. We didn't find trouble with you, but you actually dared to come to us yourself. The first elder of Fuzhong roared. I was the one who killed Su Kuang. You know very well what your Fuzhong has done. You want to take the treasures from the mansion? You're too naive. Come on, let me see what kind of strength you have. It's best if all four of you come at me together. Ha ha. Guopao laughed and stabbed the flying knife in his hand straight at an old man from the Fuzhong. Third brother, let's lead this guy away. Don't affect big brother's breaking of the array. An elder from Fuzhong said and rushed directly to Guopai. The other two also surrounded Guopai from two directions. Junior brother, now is the time. You all go into the mansion first. Don't worry about me. Guopai roared and Guotong Yuan appeared directly. Su Bian, who had already entered the void gate with his spirit sense, suddenly felt a pressure and quickly withdrew his spirit sense. Guotong Yuan smiled and opened the array. Futaba, quick! Guotong Yuan shouted at a place not far away. In terms of strength, Futaba was no match for anyone present. However, in terms of speed, no one could be faster than this six-eared macaque. In less than a breath, Futaba had already grabbed the two elders of the auction house and turned to enter the array. Brother Tong Yuan, big brother is still outside. Let's go out and help. Futaba looked at Su Bian, who was outside the void gate. He looked at Guopai, who was surrounded by three people, and couldn't help but say, Don't worry, big brother will definitely have a way. Let's go into the mansion and have a look. Guotong Yuan said with a smile. Two brothers of the auction house, this killing and robbing is done by us. There are some good things in the mansion. You can follow us in, but we won't give you any of the things. The third elder and the seventh elder nodded. Guotong Yuan reached out and untied the ropes tied to them. Then, he brazenly stuffed the ropes into his clothes. The two elders naturally couldn't say anything. In any case, Guotan Yuan had taken their lives. Guotan Yuan and the other three entered the mansion. Guopai was now in a very dangerous situation. Because Guotan Yuan controlled the array, Su Bian could no longer break the array from outside. Naturally, he vented his anger on Guopai. "Kid, you've ruined our Fu sect's good thing. Since we can't get the treasures in the mansion, we'll take your head back and report back." Su Bian shouted, "I'd like to see how you're going to fight 4 people by yourself." "Umph, even if I didn't ruin your good thing, with our relationship, after you get the treasures in the mansion, you'll still find trouble with me," Guopai said. Suddenly, a person appeared in his hand. If it wasn't Su Sai, who else could it be? "Great Elder, save me." Chapter 534. Asai. One of the elders said loudly, "Boy, let Asai go, and we can leave you a whole corpse." "Let him go. Leave me a whole corpse? Ha! Did you get kicked in the head by a donkey?" Guopai narrowed his eyes and looked at the 2 people opposite him. A broken sword appeared in his hand, guarding against the sneak attack of the 2 people behind him at all times. "Today, I don't want to have a conflict with you. This mansion is already mine. If you don't want to die, get lost. After I'm done with this, I will go to Fu Zone to play with you. Go to hell, brat. I will make you pay for your arrogance." Su Bian looked at the broken sword in Guopai's hand, and his last trace of reason was gone. He rushed directly to Guopai. "Broken sword, I am at the peak of the Gold Core realm. What do you mean by taking out a broken sword?" However, Su Bian was wrong this time. Broken sword? Yes, it was a broken sword. However, Guopai did not have the slightest intention of looking down on Su Bian and the others. Otherwise, he would not take out the broken sword of the ancestor of the sword Immortal that he found in the treasure room of the Las Vegas casino. Although he had a treasure in hand, Guopai did not dare to be careless. He directly jumped up. It was not a good thing to be surrounded by 4 masters of the peak of the Gold Core realm. Then, each of them faced Su Bian with a sword. Su Sai was directly put into Qin Quin's bag. Kill him, and we can save Asai. Then, we will guard outside the mansion. It will be easy to deal with the few guys who enter the mansion." After a few rounds, Su Bian did not gain any advantage. He directly shouted at the 3 elders of Fu Zone. At this time, Guopai was really 1 against 4. The 4 elders of Fu Zone had lived together for hundreds of years. Their cooperation was watertight. In just a moment, several scars had appeared on Guopai's body. The 4 elders fought bravely, and Guopai was completely suppressed. The broken sword in that brat's hand is not ordinary. Once we kill him, that sword will be ours, haha. The flying sword in Su Bian's hand was directly destroyed by Guopai's broken sword. However, Su Bian didn't feel the slightest bit annoyed. Now, all his attention was on the broken sword in Guopai's hand. "Old fart, if you want the broken sword in yours truly's hand, then show me some of your true abilities. Right now, it's still far from enough." Guopai blocked the combined attack of the 4 people and barely managed to stabilize his body. Even if he was defeated, he still didn't want to lose. "Don't hold back. Kill this brat with all your might." Su Bian roared again, and the 4 of them rushed towards Guopai from 4 different directions. "Ha! Delightful, truly delightful. After so many years, today is the most delightful day of fighting," Guopai said loudly, regardless of the many wounds on his body that were bleeding. "But yours truly won't play with you today. After a few days, yours truly will go to Fortune Sect to look for you. Tell that person in Fortune Sect that yours truly has almost figured out who he is. Tell him to wait for me, haha." As soon as his voice fell, Guopai, who was originally covered in blood, suddenly disappeared. The 4 old men of Fortune Sect were completely stunned. When they besieged Guopai just now, Su Bian had already set up a space array around Guopai. It was impossible for Guopai to escape. But a moment later, Guopai was 10,000 meters away, holding a mirror and smiling at the 4 old men. Su Bian seemed to understand what was going on. That mirror was definitely not ordinary. Su Bian was even more amazed by Guo Pai's many tricks. It seemed that Fortune Sect might really be in some trouble this time after offending such a guy. Fortunately, I have this mystic light yin-yang mirror. Otherwise, I would definitely not be able to defeat these four guys, Guo Pai secretly said in his heart. Then his figure flashed and directly entered the treasure room left behind by old Taoist Tang Yuan. The three of us will guard here. Fourth brother, you go back to Fortune Sect and call for people. This kid is full of treasures. As long as we can kill him, all these things will belong to our Fortune Sect. At that time, let's see who dares to disrespect our Fortune Sect in Donghai. Su Bian said loudly. The three of them stood outside the door, and an old man flew in the direction of Fortune Sect. Hey, boss, I knew you were fine. You came at the right time. Let's go and see the good things I stored here. Guo Tang Yuan already knew the moment Guo Pai entered the mansion. Guo Pai's speed was also fast. He caught up with the few people in just a few breaths. Guo Tang Yuan's words shocked the two people in the auction house. After all this time, this mansion was originally the mansion of this young man in front of them. According to his age, there was only one possibility. This young man had reincarnated, and had reincarnated with his own memories. Abnormal, absolutely abnormal. However, the two elders only guessed half of it right. The things did belong to Guo Tang Yuan, but Guo Tang Yuan was not reincarnated. He was possessed by his soul. At that time, there was almost nothing left of him. In the end, he cultivated the magic treasure for thousands of years before he found a physical body and successfully possessed it. The few people entered a very secret place in the mansion. Fortunately, Guo Tang Yuan led the way. The traps along the way were directly resolved by Guo Tang Yuan one by one. Junior brother, you were very cautious in the past. If someone rashly entered the mansion without the strength of the peak gold core realm, it would be a dead end. Guo Pai said with a smile. Guo Tang Yuan nodded proudly. It's right in front. Damn it, the magic treasure I collected back then. Fortunately, I had the foresight to store some of the treasures here. Otherwise, there would be nothing left now. Guo Tang Yuan walked into a very dirty place with a trace of excitement. It's here, Guo Tang Yuan said. His small hand directly hit a dark stone, and then a fire was lit in the middle of the room. The room gradually lit up. Boss, you can pick first. Just leave a few items for me to use at the end, Guo Tang Yuan said with a smile. Guo Pao looked around and saw 81 magic treasures. It seemed that Taoist Tang Yuan had spent a lot of money back then. Although there were many treasures in the human world 10,000 years ago, none of the sects had so many treasures. Colorful glass lamp. Although it's just a replica, it can only be used by a master of the spirit-severing stage, Guo Pao said with a smile as he placed his hand on a lamp not far away from him. Guo Tang Yuan nodded his head proudly. Chasing Sun, Soul, Arrow. Brother, this thing is not ordinary. It is said that He lost a semi-finished product after shooting the sun. I didn't expect it to be in your hands, Guo Pai said with a smile. But without the bow, this arrow is useless. Guo Pao introduced the few magic weapons that caught his eye one by one. Guo Tang Yuan's eyes widened. Back then, he didn't even know what these things were. He didn't expect that his cheap senior brother would know them. If he knew all their uses and how to use them back then, even the 9 heavenly thunder wouldn't be able to stop him from flying to the heavenly realm. Senior brother, soul-devouring sword, sacrificing top, colorful glass lamp. I only want these 3 things. I'll leave the rest to senior brother, Guo Tang Yuan said with a smile. He had originally planned on leaving behind a dozen or so items and giving the rest to Guo Pao. However, after careful consideration, he decided to only take 3 items that he had used back then and hand over the rest. Haha, brother, then I won't be polite, Guo Pai said with a smile. These things are good. Everything has a cause and effect. Guo Pai took so many treasures from you today. Guo Pai will naturally return more to you in the future, Guo Pai said and waved his hand. There were only 2 things left in the whole room. Fataba, put on the Doomsday armor. Although this thing is also an imitation, it shouldn't be a problem for you to deal with the elders of Fuzhong outside, Guo Pai said with a smile. Fataba didn't stand on ceremony. He directly took the armor from the shelf and put it on. Elders, as the saying goes, everyone who sees a great treasure gets a share. However, this thing is indeed my junior brother's personal collection. This 5 elements tracing diagram can be considered a gift to the auction house. I'll have to trouble the two of you to hand it over to my junior brother Loyu. These 2 pills are for the 2 of you. After saying that, Guopao took out 2 more pills. The 3rd elder and the 7th elder immediately opened their eyes wide to examine them. Thank you, Dr. Gua. If you need us in the future, just let us know. You don't have to be so polite. Everyone is happy. This is very good. Since the treasure has been taken out, we should go and meet our friends from Fuzone. They have been waiting outside for a long time. Chapter 535. Boss, there's one more thing we have to take away. Futaba, you guys wait here. I'll take you to find something. After Gua Tongyuan finished speaking, Futaba and the 2 elders of the auction house stayed where they were. Gua Tongyuan led Guopai to an extremely hidden place. Junior brother, what you're talking about is related to spirit beasts, right? Guopai asked with a smile as they walked side by side. Guopai asked with a smile. Hee, boss is boss. You'll know when you get there. Gua Tongyuan said with a smile. After Gua Tongyuan opened 4 different formations for about 10 minutes, an extremely cold place appeared in front of the 2 of them. Boss, I can't take this thing away. You can use the Laojun gourd to keep it. As for how you want to deal with it, I'll leave it to you. Gua Tongyuan pointed at a huge object on the platform in the middle of the room and said softly, Junior brother, this is the corpse of a 9 heavens demonic phoenix. It's a perfect corpse. How could anyone directly separate the soul of a demonic phoenix? Don't tell me this is your trophy. Guopai said softly, even a golden immortal of the great, all-embracing heaven would have to risk his life to deal with such a 9 heavens demonic phoenix. Not to mention dealing with such a 9 heavens demonic phoenix. When I found this corpse back then, the pressure of the corpse almost killed me. Gua Tongyuan said with a smile. 10,000 years ago, Taoist Tong Yuan went around to plunder magic treasures in the name of borrowing to prepare for his ascension to the heaven realm. In the East Sea, a small sect did not get anything good and was extremely unhappy. The sect master of the small sect naturally saw that Taoist Tong Yuan was quite resentful. In order not to offend this great immortal, he gave a treasure map passed down by his sect to Gua Tong Yuan. Taoist Tong Yuan had nothing to do, so he prepared to search for treasures according to the description of the treasure map. With Taoist Tong Yuan's strength at that time, there were few opponents in the world. In addition to the treasures he plundered, he was naturally not afraid of anything. According to the map at that time, Elder Taoist Tong Yuan searched the bottom of the East Sea for more than a month and finally found the location marked on the map. Taoist Tong Yuan spent another 3 months to break the protective array of the location of the treasure. What he found next shocked him. Boss, there's nothing inside, just the corpse of the 9 heavens demon phoenix. At first, I thought that the corpse was alive because the pressure was too strong. It took me 13 years to slowly adapt to the pressure. At that time, I had also broken through to the peak of the Deshang realm. I hid the corpse well and began to ascend after leaving the East Sea. You know the rest, Gua Tongyuan said softly. You've set up a formation outside this corpse. Otherwise, with our current peak gold core realm, I'm afraid our souls would be scattered by the pressure of this corpse. Guopai said softly. The pressure from the demon phoenix reminded him of his experience in the Dragon Burial Valley a few days ago. Although he had gained quite a lot, he did not dare to act rashly this time. Boss, put away the corpse of the demon phoenix first. After we leave the East Sea, I believe this corpse will be useful in the future, Gua Tongyuan said with a smile. Guopai smiled slightly. There was no way for him to resurrect the demon phoenix, but with such a corpse, he might be able to create a rock. Guopai directly put the corpse of the demon phoenix into the old lord's gourd and placed it next to a huge egg. The huge egg was none other than the roc's egg that he found in the treasure room of the Las Vegas Grand Casino. After taking all the things that could be taken away from Daoist Tong Yuan's mansion, Guo Pai and Guo Tongyuan met up with Futaba and the other two again. The five of them walked to the entrance of the mansion. Guo Tongyuan waved a small hand and could clearly see the situation outside. "Boss, why don't we wait a little longer? There are at least 13 experts at the peak of the Gold Core realm lying in ambush. The biggest problem is the man standing beside Su Bian. I can't see his strength." Guo Pai's gaze also fell on the man beside Su Bian. A trace of familiarity made Guo Pai suddenly think of something. "Boss, let's just rush out. Isn't it just a few wuxio in the Gold Core realm? I just want to go out and practice." Futaba was wearing the Doomsday battle armor, looking like he was looking for someone to practice his skills with. "We can't deal with the people outside. If it's just these people from Fu Zone, we could try to fight them all. However, with that person here, we can't take this risk," Guo Pai said softly. "Boss, you know that guy?" Guo Tongyuan asked softly. "Mr. Dream. Bulls can make our scalps tingle." Guo Pai said softly. "That person is related to the Dream Demon. If I hadn't followed the Great Sage for a long time, I wouldn't have found out. But now I can feel that although that man is not the Dream Demon himself, at least he has the Dream Demon's divine sense in his body. Once we are brought into the dream, we will definitely die." Guo Pai didn't say it directly, but directly transmitted it to Guo Tongyuan. The latter was stunned at first, then his eyes widened. The Dream Demon, a legendary figure. Although he had the experience of slaying demons in the past, it was just a small matter. How could it be compared with the big boss in front of him? "Boss, if that person is really related to the Dream Demon, I think we shouldn't take the risk. Let's stay in the mansion and slowly waste time. Anyway, we have plenty of time to play around. Let them wait outside," Guo Tongyuan said softly. "Hee, we are restricted by the rules of the human world. He is just at the peak of the Gold Core realm. What are we afraid of? Let's go out and meet him later," Guo Pai said softly. Guo Tongyuan's eyes widened. "But to deal with such a big boss, we have to be prepared first." As he said that, Guo Pai took out the magic treasures one by one. There were some that Guo Tongyuan gave him, some that he had saved in the past, and many that were collected by the elderly lord. In short, there was one word: a lot. "Boss, you have so many good things. Can you give me my things?" Guo Tongyuan said with a look of envy, not to mention the two elders of the auction house. "Junior brother, if you need it on the day of your ascension, I can give it to you. But now we don't need it. Besides, you don't want to use the magic treasures to withstand the heavenly lightning like last time, right?" Guo Pai said with a smile as he fiddled with the magic treasures in his hand. Guo Tongyuan nodded gently. After following Guo Pai for so many days, he already knew why he failed to ascend at that time. Every magic treasure accumulated karma in the mortal world. The more magic treasures one brought, the more difficult it would be to ascend. Instead of ascending like that, it was better to follow Guo Pai's advice and only bring a few magic treasures with him. It was safer to break through the heavenly lightning with his strength. Great Demon, whether it is the real body or the spiritual consciousness, as long as we can deal with the guys outside, we will definitely gain a lot of merits. This is the bottom of the East China Sea. It is an opportunity for us," Guo Pai said with a smile. He had already divided the pile of magic treasures into 3 parts. "Two elders, don't get involved in this muddy water. To tell you the truth, the strength of the group of people outside is not weak. If the 2 of you get involved, I won't have so much energy to protect you. If you want to get involved, I won't care if something goes wrong," Guo Pai said to the 2 elders of the auction house with a smile. "The 2 of us are old bones. We won't get involved in this kind of thing. Wait for little brother to deal with the things outside, then we will go out." The 3rd elder said with a smile. Guo Pai nodded gently. "Junior brother, take these things. I will tell you how to use each of them. Futaba, these are for you. If we want to play, let's play big," Guo Pai said with narrowed eyes. "Boss, we're going to deal with the Great Demon. It will be good if we can escape unscathed. Let's not make any big moves." Chapter 536. Guo Pao pulled the two of them in front of him and explained his plan to them. Guotong Yuan and Mao Tu widened their eyes again. They never would have thought that the leader of a righteous sect would be able to come up with such an idea. Boss, this isn't good. We didn't use such a trick in the war between humans and demons 10,000 years ago, Guotong Yuan said with a trace of embarrassment. Futaba nodded fiercely. Although he didn't participate in the war, he had followed Fire Cloud Venerable for many years and had never used such a trick. Survival is the only way to win. Also, think about it. We're going to be dealing with a great demon. Why should we be polite with a great demon? All is fair in war, understand? Guo said with a cheeky smile. The two of them shook their heads. Next, they nodded seriously. Guotong Yuan walked to the front of the mansion and opened the array with a wave of his hand. Guo Pai and the other two walked out. The group of people from Fuzhong outside suddenly became spirited. Su Bian squinted at the three of them. They came out. They actually dared to come out so blatantly. Kid, I thought you would have to hide in the mansion for a lifetime. I didn't expect you to dare to come out, Su Bian said loudly. Even if the four of you join forces, you are still no match for yours truly. Why would yours truly not dare to come out? There are plenty of good items inside. We'll take them all. What do you guys want? Guo Pao chuckled. Kid, we don't want to argue with you today. If you know what's good for you, leave the things behind and we'll leave your corpse intact, Su Bian said loudly. Su Bian said loudly. More than 30 Jindan stage experts from Fuzhong had already surrounded Guo Pao and the other two. Second brother Su Bian, let the old man behind you talk to me. You and I don't belong here. Mr. Dream, have we met before? Guo Pai said loudly to Mr. Dream, who was behind Su Bian. We have never met before. However, you have killed two of my disciples in quick succession. I want you to give me an explanation for this. Let's not beat around the bush. You want to run? You won't be able to. You want to fight? I don't think you are a match for this old man, Mr. Dream said with a smile. Hee, Mr. Dream. What kind of explanation do you want? This kid is right in front of you. Just tell me what you want. Guo Pai said with a smile. Mr. Dream looked at Guo Pai and muttered in his heart. This lad's means were not ordinary. Just now, when he tried to pull Guo Pai into his dream world, he was blocked by layers of arrays. It seemed like Guo Pai had come prepared. Mr. Dream could not act rashly. Kid, hand over the treasures, and this old man will spare your life. We could be considered as enemies that should be squashed rather than kept alive. Even though you are a member of the heavenly court, this is the lower world. I believe you will not be restricted too much. Mr. Dream sent a voice transmission to Lin Foam. Mr. Dream, it is not impossible for me to hand over the magic treasures. However, I have heard from the great sage that Mr. Dream is very powerful. Today, I would like to have a taste of Mr. Dream's powerful moves. I wonder if Mr. Dream will give me a chance? Guo Pai asked with a smile. I will give you a chance. Do you dare to fight me? Mr. Dream said with a smile. Right now, you are protected by magic arrays. Naturally, I cannot do anything to you. However, if you dare to fight me, are you not afraid that I will trap you in a dream world? Mr. Dream, you sure are honest. However, I would still like to experience the dream world that even great sages fear. However, I will not be the only one fighting you. The three of us will be fighting you. You cannot have the help of others. Do you dare? Guo Pai sent a voice transmission to Mr. Dream. Let alone the three of you. Even if a few more come, this old man will be able to take them on. However, kid, you better not try any tricks. If you do, this old man will make you suffer a fate worse than death. Mr. Dream said loudly. Have these people retreat to the side. The three of us will meet the legendary demon race powerhouse of the past. After saying that, Guo Pai waited for Mr. Dream's reply. Su Bian, take your men and retreat by 50 kilometers. Today, I want to exchange pointers with some friends from the Heavenly Dao sect. None of you are allowed to help. Mr. Dream roared, and Su Bian led the disciples from the Fortune sect to retreat. They knew Mr. Dream's temper very well. They also knew Mr. Dream's strength. Naturally, they were not afraid that Guo Pai and the others would be able to escape. Kid, can we start now? If you fellows want to fight this old man, the magic arrays around you will not be able to attack at all, Mr. Dream said with a smile. Mr. Dream, take this. After saying that, Guopai brought out the limpid Autumn Waters rendezvous painting that he had drawn based on the great Heavenly Punisher array. Then, he charged towards Mr. Dream. Kid, you've guts. No wonder you dare to challenge this old man. The limpid Autumn Waters rendezvous painting in your hand is not bad. It is an amazing magic treasure. This old man has taken a fancy to it. It is this old man's. Mr. Dream said. He did not create a dreamland, because Guopai's guess was right. Mr. Dream's current strength was only at the peak of the Gold Core realm. Although he could pull people of the same realm into a dreamland, Guopai had the limpid Autumn Waters rendezvous painting in his hand. It was simply unrealistic for him to forcefully pull Guopai into a dreamland. Junior brother, Featherhead, let's attack together. Senior Dream Devil is an almighty being. Back then, even Great Sage Sun suffered quite a bit in his hands. Hurry up and attack. If you lose to Mr. Dream, then you lose. If you can win against Senior Dream Devil by a move or two, then you can brag about it when the time comes, Guopao said loudly. Guotong Yuan and Futaba looked at each other. How shameless. 3 against 1, and they could still talk so eloquently. However, the two of them did not stay idle. Futaba was holding the primordial golden umbrella that Guopai had temporarily let him use. Not only was it strong in defense, it was also a sharp weapon in attack. Guotong Yuan was holding a whip in his hand. It was the high imitation, god-beating whip that he had refined after consuming countless heavenly treasures before ascending to the heaven realm. Weak. Junior brother, Futaba, are you looking down on Mr. Dream? Your attacks are too weak. Take out all your magic treasures and attack Mr. Dream with all your might. Otherwise, Mr. Dream will blame you if he is unhappy. As Guopai spoke, he took out Li Xuanwan's flying knife and threw it at Mr. Dream. Then, he threw out 3 pearls. They were all top-grade magic treasures that could be used by Golden Core Realm cultivators. Guotong Yuan did not hold back. He threw the Soul Devourer sword, Sacrificing Top, Rainbow Glaze Lamp, Octagonal Sinister Wind Flag, and the 99 flying swords of the Demon Slaughtering Vajra sword array towards Mr. Dream. After Guotong Yuan threw out all his magic treasures, Mr. Dream's expression was no longer relaxed. Some magic treasures appeared in his hand. He used his divine sense to control the magic treasures to fight with Guopai and Guotong Yuan's magic treasures. He was thinking of a way to pull the two of them into his dreamland. Treasure Fall Coin. This is what Boss was talking about. Just use it on Mr. Dream's magic treasures. Futaba muttered. He threw an ancient coin with a pair of illusory wings towards Mr. Dream's magic treasures. Why is my 100 Ghost Demon Stone not reacting? Mr. Dream was shocked. He saw a black shadow flash past him. His 100 Ghosts Demon Stone disappeared. Then, Guopai's pirated sky flipping seal smashed into his shoulder. Mr. Dream, why are you so careless? Guopai laughed and said, Futaba, Mr. Dream still has many good things. Continue to fall. This kind of opportunity is hard to come by. As Guopai's voice fell, Mr. Dream lost contact with one of his flying swords that was being attacked by Guotong Yuan's demon slaughtering sword array. Then he lost contact with his own magic treasure, the 9 Heavens Dream Soul Pearl. Mr. Dream spat out a mouthful of blood. Monkey, return my Dream Soul Pearl to me, and I will spare your life. Otherwise, I will scatter your soul. Mr. Dream roared. He ignored Guopai and Guotong Yuan's magic treasures and rushed towards Futaba. Oomph. Are you trying to scare your lord Futaba? The proud Futaba had completely forgotten that his opponent was the Mr. Dream who could shake the 3 realms with a stomp of his feet. He threw out all the magic treasures that Guopai gave him. Heavenly Court's lackeys, you will regret this. This is only a trace of this old man's divine sense. When this old man's true body recovers, it will be the day of your death. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.